Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Drake Michigan podcast. And we're here with our guest, the amazing JB, who has got an amazing story to share with us and a load of information regarding making a few quid. And we all like making a few quid. Now, for all those who are listening and can't watch the podcast on the video, so you're not privy to watching the graphs on the TV, JB's just going to give a short description now for you with all the links so you can check it out in your own time, because we don't want you to miss out on this. For we're all going to get involved as well. We're all going to put a few quid in the pot and hopefully all be millionaires. Over to JB.
Right, so yeah, I'm going to be sharing quite a lot of information about the blockchain and crypto space, which for over the past 2 years I've been learning a lot about it. It'd be unfair if I didn't share, so there's going to be a lot of visuals about the stuff that are good to look at. So if you don't understand it from what I'm saying, then please go to the link on the bottom, and there'll be links for the different things that I share, because then you can get it visually and see what I'm going on about.
Perfect.
And then once you sort of get that, then if you have any questions, please put them in comments below or feel free to message me personally. Thank you.
And just to add to that, so we're going to look also to, on our Drake Michigan website,
yes,
we're going to look to open up a tab all about this.
Yeah.
And as we go forward, JB is going to jump in with some short little promo videos, some updates, and basically we'll all work through it together. So we've got the brains at the end of the table there, and we'll just do as we're told.
Yeah, that's what I normally do.
That's fantastic.
No income tax, no VAT, no money back, no guarantee. Black or white.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of the Drake Michigan podcast.
Is it 16?
Is it 16? Or we might be episode 17.
17.
Well, we're not going to edit that. We'll leave it in.
Yeah, so
We love a mistake.
We love a mistake. We love a blooper.
Hey, I might be wrong though.
You might be.
Hey, we'll always have to check.
It's not the first time Critch will be wrong.
could be 24 for we know.
I spent many of my life wrong, mate.
That is true. That is true. You are a wrong one. Anyway, so some of you, the ones who are watching on camera, will say, "Oh, that looks a bit different today."
Yeah.
And that's because, for those who are listening and can't see, we're actually in the new studio room, and we're in Zone 1.
Zone 1.
Which is the table and microphones and telly setup. And it's our first time here, and we're dead excited, and we have a very special guest, Mr. JB.
Yes.
Good
JB.
day.
Thank you for coming.
This
JB.
room has actually been ready for months, but they've actually just been waiting for me.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah,
That
so
is
actually
true.
to christen it, because you know what I mean. That's how good I am.
What we thought was we had to get the right guest.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely.
And so all the others we
We thought to ourselves, we looked at the schedule and we thought, well, let's get it ready for JB.
Exactly. I just hope it's up to your expectations.
Yeah, well, so they believed everything I said. Damn.
Oh, quality. So we what's it called? First of all, welcome, JB. Thanks for what's going on. We've already had a bit of a chat and a coffee and an introduction.
Yeah.
And what we want to do though in this is get straight into your story, because I know you've got a lot to share with us. And one of the biggest things what we find with a lot of the guests, and we say it week in week out, funny enough, is the word trauma.
Beautiful.
Right? Everybody in life seems to have a turning point or a large traumatic event, and it sort of takes them on a whole new path, a whole new way of thinking. Now, my question is, did you have a traumatic event in your life?
Yeah, well, I had a traumatic event that lasted from the age of 4 till about 38.
Right.
That is a long period of trauma.
Yeah. And it all started when I was 4. We were getting ready to go to the park, me, my brother and my mum, I think 2 days after my brother's birthday.
Yeah.
And I went outside, got on my bike. I thought my brother had gone across the road, but what my brother had actually done is gone out the front door and gone round the back. So I got on my bike, 4 years old, and then rode out, truck, 16-ton wagon, hit me, ran me over.
Behave.
So that broke both my legs, broke my femur, tibia, fibia, I think it was. My arm I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah,
Whoa.
Scar.
Yeah.
For those listening, we're looking at scars on the level of Rambo.
Yeah, and then
And you can see it on your head.
yeah.
Yeah.
So fractured my skull, and then so I was I think it was about 5 months, getting better. So 4 years old, that's when the trauma really started.
So your parents are like your mum has come out, and you're literally underneath. Was you under the truck, or was you hit?
I don't know. I've had hypnotherapy and relived it, but I don't know if it was my imagination. But I've relived.
I mean, 4 years of
there.
age, it's hard to remember anything from that. But the bottom line is that is massive.
Yeah. Well, for years, that was my first memory. My first memory that I've had is basically waking up in hospital, because I don't remember anything before it. But the work I've done, I can remember being a page boy when I was 3 at my auntie's wedding and stuff like that. So I've removed that traumatic event, and now I live on it instead of in it, because a lot of people live in the trauma. So
That's interesting.
Well, you've got a journey to get to that point. Though,
Do you know what? Just
massive.
picking up on that, because I remember watching something about a traumatic. Basically, I don't know if it was hypnosis or whatever, and what they did was they take you back to the actual event. And there's a way of retraining your brain or growing new brain cells to think of the event in a different way. So it doesn't affect your emotional well-being. Because that's what happens in trauma. And people think of like a disaster or a negative thing, and then that sets off a train of emotions in your brain connected with that event. But if you go back to that event and say, hold on, let me look at this a different way, and then your brain creates neurons and all this and it creates a new pathway of memory.
New neural pathways of creating something different around it.
I know about this stuff.
Is
this what you've done?
So because I did a 9-week hypnotherapy course to get away from a lot of my trauma. At the time it didn't work, but then you realise these significant emotional events that have attached to your present moment now, that are creating your outcome in life, are really all just lies because of its. So then when you do the work and the hypnotherapy or whichever route you take, you actually realise that I'm allowing that to be attached to me. It happened, but.
Because so many people, just before we go backwards, because I want to get more back into the actual story, but that makes so much sense how people are living their day-to-day lives, usually based on, it doesn't have to be that traumatic, it could just be a job loss. Right? And people then, my life's so crappy, and if I never lost my job, if that person never sacked me. So they build this false victim mentality, or they think their whole life is a sequence of events because of this certain.
That's right,
Do you know what I mean? And it all goes back to that one incident, doesn't it?
And then it creates their reality, their personal reality. And they create their personal reality and their personality around that past event.
You're right.
So why are you always so moody? Because of this happened then. But then you'll tell that story differently every time you say it, because all you're doing is filling in the gaps, because your mind doesn't remember everything.
But the thing is as well, then, and this is really going to be deep and good, because what happens then is every time people tell someone else the story, it cements it as a fact. And it makes them feel better. It's almost like, this is my excuse why my life's like it is.
Of course it is. That's exactly what people do. I've done it loads over my life.
I did it for years. So but now I tell stories of the future. I speak confidently about what's going to happen, because then you're creating it in the moment.
And that goes back to
the past.
But anyway, but let's go back, because obviously, so you're 4 years of age, you've been knocked down by a truck. Did you ever hear any stories about the fella who knocked you down?
No, but when I've done this hypnotherapy, I've actually lived from his eyes.
Wow.
And I've seen myself on the floor.
Really?
Yeah. This is how powerful the 9-week course I was doing.
Wow.
So hypnotherapy is quite deep. I've never really known much about it.
I've done quite a lot of it. I've studied hypnotherapy in personal, way sort of thing, because I listen to a lot of hypnotherapies at night as well when I'm sleeping.
Like Paul McKenna and stuff like this?
No, there's a few things I've just got on YouTube. I'll listen to on YouTube. Rather than the meditations to sleep, or the hypnotherapies that sleep, because then they're very powerful. They're taking your mind into the theta, a very low theta, and that's when you're taking it all in.
It's quite shamanic, that. Sorry to jump, because the shamans would do that. So they use the drum to bring you down into a theta wave, I think it's, or the delta, I don't know, but they bring that down, and then they're able to do those journeys.
Because that's when you're open, you're moving the analytical mind. You can't think. It's because people are stuck in the line between your analytical, your conscious mind and your subconscious is your analytical mind. And some people have got a really thick analytical mind. They'll be told something, and they'll find 35 ways of talking themselves out of it. But when you remove that, because there are amygdalas and the world plays on your amygdala, when you remove that and you close down that mind, you just think, right, well, I'm going to be consciously aware of all my thoughts, then you can create from the new a lot easier and a lot better.
Interesting.
So let's just go back again, because you've took yourself into the position of the bird's eye view from the driver's point of view, if you like.
Yeah.
So like, if you've never heard anything from him, or a she, whatever, but because what I'm thinking is, you wouldn't know, but that probably would have affected their whole life.
100%.
Yeah. Because do you know what? Because there's always two stories, isn't there? Yeah. Like the person who's got hit, but the person. Because I remember a truck driver, and he was driving along, no fault of his own. Someone had got out of their car on the motorway, and he just heard a thud. And it was later, so basically his wing mirror, it fucking decapitated him.
They say this about train drivers, don't they? They're trained, don't they, to expect the fact that people are going to jump in front of the trains, and it happens quite a lot.
It never happens in Thomas the Tank, though.
Yeah.
The Fat Controller deals.
Oh, right.
it does with the Thomas Tank King I watch. I'll give you a link to it, yeah. Well more exciting. Oh, yeah. The X-ray into Thomas Tank King.
We could well go off tangent here.
Listen, I want to get back to this, because this is fast. Right, so if you're 4, and then obviously I can imagine you're in hospital for a very, very long time here.
Yeah. Like, I don't know exactly how long or anything, but it's like I've lived, it was about 5 months, my body getting better.
Right.
So it's a long time.
Was you in a coma, or did you die, or do you know anything?
I don't know. Because I don't know the full end, I believe that I did die there, but I don't know to say that's 100% truth. But I've lived basically my soul attaching to the driver, and I've seen myself, and then I've gone back to it and come around again.
Yeah.
Wow. So I personally think, but I don't know.
Yeah,
so it could have been before the ambulance got there. It could have been anything, but I don't know.
No, because we've not had them on the podcast yet, but over the years I've spoke to people who have been involved in accidents where they've died.
Yeah,
and I remember one fella on a bike, and he'd hit a back of a truck, and he was dead.
Yeah,
and straight away, as soon as he hit it, he was out of his body.
Yeah,
and he watched the whole thing. But he said when he was out of his body, there was like hundreds of people there, but they were people in spirit, and he was like trying to push through them and say, "What's going on?" And then when he got to the front, he was there on the floor.
Well, we've got a guy who's in our community, and he'll probably watch this, and he's got stories to tell. Now, if he ever comes on, I'll not mention his name. But if that person comes on, he had an accident and basically sat up and saw, I believe, his sort of family and people that are in spirit basically saying, "Come on, it's time now," kind of thing. "Come with us," kind of thing. And then he was resurrected and come back into his body. But he's had a gift since then as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be interesting. But it makes sense then. Like if you did die, or if you was out your body, then you would be able to have this all around scenery or view of everything what happened.
Yeah. We're just a soul having a human experience, aren't you? So
exactly.
It's just a vessel.
Well, exactly.
No.
Exactly.
So your early days in school. So do you remember, obviously, when you started to get a bit better and you're back walking and everything, you've gone back to school?
Not such, because it was, because of the mass trauma of it, then within me getting hit, within a year, maybe 18 months, then I went through my parents' divorce. So I blamed myself for that a lot.
Oh, so you thought your accident was contributed
after getting hit sort of thing, I blamed myself for the divorce without actually knowing it. Because I'm unaware. Some people are unaware that I'm just naughty because I'm naughty. Hang on a minute, look at the deep reasons of why that's happening. So I was unaware of that, but I was blaming myself and blaming everything around me for that happening because of that event.
Right.
So by the age of me being 6.5, I've gone through being hit by a truck and parents' divorce, and you're still building your subconscious mind.
Of course you are, yeah.
So my subconscious mind is already screwed up before I even give a chance to think for myself.
Because they say the first 7 years, don't they?
And then it was just like I was a tearaway. Didn't care, but then I've gone back, and me waking up in the hospital alone, the first thing, you don't remember anything, all of a sudden you sat there in a hospital, your legs up in the air, and your arms like this, and you got a bandage around your head. That was the day I learned independence. I used to see it as a bad thing. So I'm going off a bit of a tangent here with this sort of thing, but with it, that's when I learned that is the day that I have to be independent in myself, and is the only person that makes choice in my life is me.
You're a 4-year-old.
But the only way I knew how to do that was being naughty. You sit there and put your hand up and be quiet. No, because I'm being authentic in myself. You're not telling me what to do, but you're naughty. And that's the the amount of people that give children the labels because of they're being children. And I was being a child, but in the way, the screwed up way I knew, because of the amount of trauma that I'd been affected from that.
That's because obviously in school society, if you like, they just put 30 kids in a classroom and you're all expected to behave one certain way. But when you think about it, no child in the classroom is the same. No. And every child in the classroom could be going home, or it's got its own issues and it's got its own...
And it's brought,
so I know it's I mean, it's not the teachers.
It's the indoctrination side of it, isn't it? That you without even knowing it, you probably dealing with that indoctrination straight away. You've stepped out of that.
I'm just holding a big sort of thing. You know what I mean? Go screw yourself. I'll do what I want, and in later life, it's paid me very well.
Very good.
So for your labels.
So did that follow you all through primary school and high school? Was you a bit of a rebel?
Yeah, well, I never really saw my mum because of the blame. The blame, because my mum was an alcoholic.
Oh, so you went to live with
time.
Dad?
Yeah, well, my dad got full custody.
Oh, right.
So my dad claimed custody because my mum was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And then so my dad got full custody, but my dad didn't know what he was doing. He still had to go to work, and at the age of 6, I was making food and I was coming back from school on my own, and also, so I was an adult at the age of 6. From what I can remember, as I'm saying this from a sort of a way that I understand to say it, because I didn't really know what I was doing once again as well, because there was nobody else there.
Did you say you had a younger brother as well?
I have an older brother, 30 months older, and then so that was when we lived in London, and then the age of 11. All I knew was from when we used to live in Uxbridge in London was I used to go and steal catapults from shops and go and shoot people in the local arcade with them, and then go and build massive fires on an RAF camp and go stealing and spray painting things and just making trouble for as much as I could, because that's what I knew. That's the only way
but you wouldn't have seen it as trouble. You would have probably seen it as just I'm enjoying myself. I
saw it as affection, because if I do something that gives somebody else grief, then I'm getting affection for it. But if I'm good, then I just don't get.
So there's an attention thing there that you're getting. Yeah.
So
because any attention is better than
no attention when you don't understand it.
Of course it is. Yeah.
So then, at the age of 11, I moved to Manchester. So that was like holding a little Cockney boy walking into a
big trauma thing again, really.
Walking into a class when you're 11 years old and there's loads of people speaking funny, and then you realise that I end up speaking that way as well. So with that, it's like some more trauma.
It's better up north, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. No, 100%, because
those fucking Cockneys,
fucking northern monkeys.
I got a bodie in my pocket.
No, but with that, it's like I'm coming up sort of thing, and moving through lies as well, because there was a lot of lying and stuff, in our family because of what went on and all that. I mean, I'm being alcoholic, but I chose to not really see my mum, so I never knew what the mother's love was. I never knew what the affection was. I was choosing that because I already had the option. I think I went to see my mum 5 or 6 times over the period, but then my brother was a lot closer to her. But I chose I can't go and smoke weed at my mum's. I can't go and be a tearaway at my mum's. I can't go and wag school at my mum's. You know what I mean? The first 3 years of school, I wagged it like 78%. So I was never there because I was choosing my life, thank you. But I was naughty. So I was always known as a naughty boy. So I was a naughty boy, just doing what the fuck I wanted.
And was your brother just as bad? Or
no, he got the A's and B's in school.
Oh, so he did all right.
But he
never got hit by a truck, did he?
No, that's what I mean. So he was sort of like put on the pedestal for that, and he was, because you've got a piece of paper that somebody else has said you're good enough, then I will treat you differently because there's labels and people think that you have to be
labels and it's indoctrination again. So you're a good boy because you've got an A.
Well, he's following the system.
I've not got a single qualification in my life, but I'm as free as you could ever be.
And there's there's nothing better than being free, is it? That's ultimately what people want.
Everybody wants freedom. But
but the majority of people, the mass amount of people, what they do is they chase all these other avenues thinking that's going to lead to freedom.
I'll get a new car.
I'll get a house, I'll get a car, I'll get married, I'll have kids. And I always say that it's like putting a ladder up a wall, and then when you get to the top, you realise, they've got the ladder in the wrong place, and move the ladder again, and move it. But the ladder's never going to be in the right place because they're looking in the wrong places, aren't they? That's the answers are not outside. But so your school years are and you've moved now as well up to Manchester. Apologies to all the Cockneys as well. I will be in. I've got a few friends who are Cockneys.
Sorry, because the Cockneys bless Manchester, so I made it a bad place.
So you've come up to Manchester, which again, so it's like 3 major trauma events already. Where so then obviously not being around your mum would have been traumatic as well. So you just
think of because your subconscious is being built in the first 7 years of your life, which I know I understand a lot about now. But then when you're being hit by a truck, and then you're wondering why your mum's disappearing. But even when I was even younger, because my mum was an alcoholic and a hidden alcoholic, she used to hide it, and she taught me very well to hide my sense of being when I got older. So it's brilliant lessons in life.
Yeah.
But she used to hide that, and used to hide bottles of Coke and stuff behind the sofa. And I've had memories of drinking this Coke when my mum's been fast asleep. My dad getting in, and I peed that much, me and brother, because we've been pissed when we were like 2, 3, 4 years old. Right, so I could have been pissed when I rolled out. I never actually thought. Drink riding, yeah. So drink driving. But the thing is, so back to the truck as well. 1-0 to me, because the truck is probably in a scrap heap, and I'm still here. So
exactly,
I won.
Well, just the fact that you can be hit by a truck and still live is pretty remarkable.
We could go deep on that. Because like when we had Linda here the other week, and she died at 4 or 5 year old, didn't she? But ultimately she's saying we are all dead.
Well, to be honest, I mean, that's a whole different perspective, but we'll not open that kind of words up. So, I mean, if we had Linda here now, she'd be like, I'm talking to me, and you're talking to me, and you're talking to me, and we're all just talking to each other. So, but what I was trying to explain a little bit when we had Linda on, from my perspective, is although I believe there's a lot of truth in what she was saying, I could understand, but not everybody's at that point of the journey. So it's almost like so like if you're just coming into the spiritual thing, and then someone suddenly says in front of you, oh, by the way, do you know we're all one, and all this is a load of that's just too much.
Because people believe in separation. You are there, I'm here.
And I know we're not supposed to separate. That's the whole thing, because as people, or whatever you want to call us, we establish this separation to make us feel. That's the ego, I think. What then? Listen, 100%. I got a lot from meeting Linda, and I'm into a lot of the stuff she talks about. But I also thought that's probably a few years down the line for me.
Yes, well, Dr. David, Dr. David Hawkins' map of consciousness. Become aware of that.
Right.
His map of consciousness helps you realise where you're at, and it's your go-to, because I used to be full of anger. And I used to go there, but I catch myself, I still go there, back to that bit every now and then, but I catch myself a lot more on the way. I mean, so it's
that's self-mastery, where you're understanding where your emotions are, and you can take a step back and you go, well, why am I thinking that, and why am I feeling that?
But sometimes it might take 24 hours to step back and see it, but sometimes it might be
immediate. I think that's important to realise that.
And you're not basically become part of your personality. I'm just an angry person.
See, a lot of people in the tree of wherever they are, if you want, some people are still dealing with like lack or victimhood, and you know what I mean, and they're not on the higher branches of like happiness and joy and abundance. And what I've noticed as well is you can actually go up and down the tree as well. Just because you're going through a period of you seem to be manifesting, everything's fantastic. If you don't keep with them vibrations 100%. And who you surround yourself with, you can get pulled back down as well.
Get pulled back down,
You know what I mean? And like so. When we say to people, it's important who you surround yourself with. It's not because we're saying like tell all your old mates and that to piss off. But the thing is, if they're sort of in that world of like, I don't know, drink, drugs, or doom and gloom and lack, what do you want to be around all that for?
Exactly. But you've got to make a conscious decision on that.
It's a massive decision, and that's where it becomes difficult, because if you're, say you're in a relationship and your partner just does not understand what you're saying at all, then the relationship can become difficult.
Of course it can be challenging.
Very challenging.
And then you've got to make a decision if you're going to be happy enough to continue that, and that can be tough in itself.
And then you could throw in kids into the mix, and then it's like, well, you're teaching your kids one way, your partner might be teaching the other. So now you decide to give your kids, a balanced.
But life's a puzzle. We've talked about it. Life's a puzzle, and you've got to figure it out for yourself.
But let's we do this as well, JB, as well. We go off track a bit. Anyway, let's get back to the main focus, which is you. So, when did you start feeling like a bit of like grounded? Like a bit of normality, or a period of stableness in your life? Did that not come at all when you were younger? Or?
No, not at all.
No, so it just got worse.
It got worse. Well, cigarettes at the age of 9 going on 10.
Okay.
Smoking weed before I was 11. So it was all trying to hide off. I found ways of hiding my reality, hiding the sense of being of the feelings that I didn't understand. I mean, the trauma. Yeah. So, because that's what people do. They go to the drink, the drugs, whatever, to hide trauma.
So you got into all that at a very early age.
Yeah, so I found truanting. I was always a very polite person. I mean, he's always said, because that's the way my dad brought me up as well. Polite, please, and thank yous, cost you nothing. Yeah. So we were very, very polite, but in a way, that was manipulating who I really was, because I was a person that would steal to buy cigs, to get drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was doing this polite person, but I was going back on myself, and I was being horrible to myself. I was sitting back and, doing whatever I wanted. So through my school years, it was a lot of wagging it, and just a lot of not giving a fuck, just not caring, and that was just the beginning of the journey, really. So the first 16 years of life were lessons of how you don't want to be, in a way, because of the traumatic events of what happened so young.
Yeah. But in a way, from looking at it from a duality point of view, you can, to experience the good now. You've experienced all the negative and the bad, and so you've got that duality of emotions and everything as well now.
So I can be consciously aware of what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
and my consciousness levels are massive now. I'm not seeing me because
you've worked on yourself, though, JayBee, to do that.
Yeah, because you say that because we're bought. So say this is a blank board. When we're born, that's completely clear. So throughout your life, people are writing on that board until you're the age of 7. So everything that you've known up until the age of 7, somebody's just wrote on that board.
Yeah.
So that's your subconscious field. But as you become aware of it, you have the right to just
start rubbing it out.
Rub it out.
Yeah.
Feel free. But that board, like I believed that was there in marker pen. Yeah. But all I need to do is rub it out. So when you become consciously aware of rubbing it out, so I used to think, right, well, I need to have a fat line of cocaine because I've got a feeling of that I was unloved when I woke up at the age of 4 because of I was hit by a truck and my mum ran off when I was a kid, so I have to have more lines of cocaine because it's there in solid. No, let's just rub it out, and then I can go, thank you for that blessing.
Yeah.
Thank you, because if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't have had this journey, because our souls have chose the journey. We just basically have to live this life the best possible way that we can.
But and just like in that, like you're mentioning there about the trauma, like in your life, but up to the age of 7, that includes things like religion and words where people say, oh, you have to, if you want any money, you have to work hard for a living, and all that is implemented. School, the world's round, the world's flat, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So all that is in you by the age of 7, isn't it? And then it's like this. You spend the rest of your life rubbing it out, really, don't you? And then forming your new beliefs.
But a lot of people will be stuck in that until the 50s, 60s, and then they realise.
I think some people never come out of it.
A lot of people don't do. Because they believe that. I mean, it's like say that people say I was doing the same thing I was last year, the year before. Last 10 years have been the same. Well, because you're living in your past memory. You're living yesterday's life today.
Yeah,
I try and create something different all the time,
and that's true as well, because they do say like your thoughts create your reality. So if you're constantly living in that fear and that negative and that cycle, it just repeats it again.
Yeah.
So that's where we've come. It's important to change your habits, and then the habits create new paradigms. And then obviously you take your life in a whole new direction.
100%.
So let's go. So you come out to school. Did you end up in like dead end jobs, if you want to call them, or did you go to college?
I decided to become a chef. So I'm a qualified chef, but once again, it's a lot of hours and it's a lot of hard work.
I feel you, pain.
But yeah,
been there yourself,
but once again, it's not a massive part of life that I remember, because I wasn't really earning a lot when I was 16. The way that I learned about money was massive amounts of lack, because I was so naughty in school and I didn't fit my father's way of life, because I didn't get my grades, I didn't go to college and university. When I turned 16, my dad gave me the option of, if you live under my roof, you either go to college and sort your life out, or you get a job and you pay me rent. But I think when I was sort of 43 now, so when I was 16, quite a while ago, 50 quid would get you a lot. Now it doesn't get you jar of coffee. But back then, it's a lot. So my dad said to me that you either pay £50 a week rent at the age of 16, or you're not living under my roof. So because I was a drug addict and I didn't give a fuck, I lived on the streets a lot, because I wouldn't. And when I used to go home on a Friday night after smoking all my money away or whatever, or just not getting it, because I'd never used to be able to stick down a job. So she said, oh, well, if I didn't want to do it, I'd just walk out. So I didn't bother. So I used to think, right, well, I can't get in my house, so I'll keep in the dog's kennel, or just go and walk around all night or whatever. So a lot of the time I spent, so I have to be good enough to be good enough to live in my dad's house, and I have to either give him money or go and do something that I don't want to do. And that's what I taught without...
Yeah.
I back then I wouldn't be able to realise what I was doing. I was thinking, all right, well, he doesn't give a fuck about me, so I live on the streets. And that's what I learned.
Right.
Yeah.
So and these are the lessons that you learn in life when you're still a confused child that you don't really know what's going on.
No, so up until like 16, 17, like basically everything's just been turmoil, and it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? Really, to be honest, you've got at that stage from looking, you've never really felt security, you've never felt love, you've never felt wanted. Now you've got feelings of lack, lack of money, lack of attention, lack of love. So these are massive mountains what people have to try and overcome. You know, when we talk about now people going back and working on their shadows or the shadow work, it's this early years of life what they need to do, come to terms with and work on, and you've got massive shadows that you have to look at.
That's it.
So and when we talk about drugs, was it what, weed, cocaine?
Weed, cigarettes, alcohol,
back
cocaine,
in the day, was it poppers?
Ecstasy, poppers,
Ecstasy,
anything.
Anything.
I used to basically work in open kitchens, drinking pints of brandy and coke and popping pills while I was cooking pizzas in the Trafford Centre. It was just a normal life. I had 3 or 4 pills and a you know what I mean?
Have I ever eaten any of your food?
Yes,
while you were serving?
You'd probably still off your head now if you have. so you mean, so doing that is just like, this is one part of, being a chef in the Trafford Centre. There's one part of our lives of where a few of me and my mates got a job at this same place, and we met people who came over from Sheffield, and they ended up living in a house that was down the road, and like for 3 or 4 months it was just this party time of where we were just all turning up off our heads. And we found ways of basically, because you used to get 25% off pizzas in the Trafford Centre to go if you were watching the cinema tickets, everybody had cinema tickets, but the 25% would be going in our pockets, and we'd just be all levered on either come downs or comes up in the job. And that's the way that life was then. And that was like
but to be fair, at that age, you was probably loving it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You would have been thinking, this is A's.
Yeah. So with that, it was like it was the party atmosphere that I wouldn't change a thing of it. But I realised that as I've got older, it was still the escaping.
Yeah.
I've created this life for me because it was the life that I needed to escape from. Because if I was creating a different life, then I might have gone to the university, the this, the that, and have a piece of paper say I'm good enough and stuff like that now.
Yeah.
And the career and everything.
Well, this is what's been this was your background and what's moulded you today.
Yeah.
So, and this is what I said. You can't really look back with any regret because it had to happen.
No, so I'd say thank you.
Yeah.
I feel it's so grateful for everything.
Thanks to the universe for giving you this unbelievable experience, no matter how traumatic.
Because the lessons are from that, aren't they?
And listen, if it's true what they say, like when your soul comes down, it must have known your shoulders were broad enough to take
this,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so when you've come down, you decided, listen, go on, I'm going to challenge myself here.
That's it. Yeah.
So what's called? So in these party days and drugs, did it ever get out of control? Like, was you would you class yourself as I was an addict and I was fucked up? Did you get that bad?
Well, basically, what turning point for me was the day I had my first line. I've not really lived this, but I can live it right now because I see it as a catalyst to the amazing life I lived. But Christmas Eve 1998 was the day I had my first half gram of cocaine.
Yeah.
And I'm in 21s in Manchester, Christmas Eve 19, it was? Yeah, there. And I've...
Piccadilly
21s, in Manchester. So I'm off my rocker. I've gone outside to phone my brother with me Nokia 6210 or whatever the crap's phone were then.
Sponsorship, eh?
I'm wired. Yeah, I'm wired. I'm absolutely off my rocker, and I've walked outside. Somebody said, "Can I borrow your mobile?" And I've said no. And then I'm on the phone to my brother. They've grabbed out my hand. I've got to get it back and go and smack around the face with the side of a bottle. So I basically, all my face is swelled up out here. And then I've got one of the 3 scars there from being bang smacked by a bottle. So Christmas was basically the thing of, because I lost my mum on December the 6th, the year before, and then it was 380 days later.
Oh, so your mum's died?
Yeah, my mum had already died. I lost my mum through alcoholism, through drugs. My mum was so your mum
never recovered from that?
No, she didn't. She was in a very abusive relationship. I still believe that she was taken by her then husband anyway. You know what I mean? So I believe that because he was a horrible person. He's just disappeared now.
Right.
And with that, but I didn't know all this then.
Yeah.
So I had my first line, and then I've woken up in the hospital on Christmas Day with it's with a big cut on my head, face out here, and then got to eat my Christmas dinner through a straw sort of thing.
Right.
So all this, and this is when I was 18, I think, 18 going on 19. I think I might have just turned 19.
Yeah.
But because of, once again, I've had a line, I haven't seen it as something exciting, I've seen it as something as trauma.
Yeah.
So then, from that day, I was addicted to cocaine. And then because of the lead up to it and everything, the losing my mum, the escapism, I've seen this as a way of being able to escape my true reality of the shit I hated because I saw it was something bad. And then I've basically created a 19-year cocaine habit, spending tens of thousands of pounds every year. Wow. So I worked out because I used to be in and out of houses, living on my own, being able to get rent through grows, but I used to basically go into a house, even if it was 4 bedrooms, live in there, turn the rooms into grow rooms, grow loads of weed, use the money to then pay for my habits, as well as working every hour God sends. On motorways, I was doing working traffic management. So with that was paying my habit, but I used to have to leave the houses. I was earning 70, 80, 90 grand a year from working all the time and from growing. So then I used to be like, but I was always skint. So I was spending 60, 70, 80 grand a year on cocaine.
You'd created your world around the cocaine, hadn't you? So the universe will provide you what you want because you're asking for that.
And it was providing very, very well, but I had to do it in a destructive way. So I was doing that, and I was spending every single penny I had to go. So over the 19 years, I was doing an average, say, 35 to 50 plus grand a year, and I never had anything. I used to basically ask people to lend me money because I'd never had a thing.
So that, I mean,
I was earning twice as much as most people.
That's a massive period of time. So during that period of time, was the like relationships? Was you a nasty person? Did you cause trouble?
I was just a liar.
Was you? Did you lie?
Basically, yeah. I used to grow loads of weed, which I was a gardener. But then I had several relationships with people, sort of thing, but I was never in a relationship. You know what I mean? Because I used to lie. They didn't have a clue.
So
that
you just used it for your means.
Yeah. I'd just go days on him with sniffing sort of thing and not sleep. And I used to work 12 on 2 off on motorways. So I'd start sniffing on, say, a Wednesday or Thursday, and I'd go right through with no sleep until the Sunday or Monday. But then on a Sunday night, I'd still be full of energy because I'm wired, working harder than anybody else because I'm full of steroids, I'm in the gym, I'm a cokehead and everything. Just basically living this crazy life of just ruining my body.
But again, I bet at the time you would have thought you were good, and you probably thought you were...
Yeah, I was like, look at me, this is ace.
Yeah,
look
I'm
at
doing
Mr. Ego.
fantastic.
Look at Mr. Ego, full of steroids, big shoulders, cokehead, I can get anything anybody wants.
During the drug period, abuse years, if you like, apart from obviously the feeling of feeling great, not condoning drugs, kids, what's called...
just say no.
Just say no.
Definitely.
Was there any... Did any experiences happen while you were under drugs? What you look back on, think and say, well, that was a bit freaky for
you mean like spiritual, psychedelic?
Well, yeah, because I think we've had guests as well, but so a lot of people under the influence of drugs can obviously get a bit confused with everything what's happening in reality. But then we spoke with Kev Morris, didn't we? And he said while he was on drugs, he started getting spiritual experiences, but he believed he could tell the difference. This wasn't the drugs, this was something else.
Yeah, but
anything
this
like that for you?
I can't. I'll be honest. I can hardly remember a lot about the whole many years anyway, because me body's just shot it away. It's basically I've experienced that. That doesn't serve me anymore. No, and the only thing I can think of is suicide. I mean, the only thing, because I was in either Ambleside or Ambleside, I think it is. I used to sleep and have this recurring dream of fast flowing waters and quicksand in a certain part. And I was up one of the relationships I was going to their parents' 60th or whatever. There was a do that was going on, and I've seen this sign next to the beach, and this sign that I've basically been living through. And I had a big argument with somebody when I was in this event that I'd gone to. And I just walked out, and I thought, this is the time. So I put all my phone and everything down on the side and just gone ready to walk into the sea. Because this is a sign I've actually killed myself or gone to kill myself in the dream. I thought, this is it, and just life's taken over. So it's like this.
In the drugs, you've had this vision.
Yeah, I'm absolutely wired.
And then while you're in,
yeah,
when you're off drugs but somewhere else, you're seeing it, and
this is me still wired. This is me in a relationship. It was about probably about 8-9 years ago now. I'm in a relationship, and in my dreams, I've seen this sign, and then when I was actually going to an event, I've seen the sign awake. So conscious, so I've like, whoa, and then it's all been playing with my mind. So I put everything down the side. It's about 11:30 at night. I've just disappeared from this party. I've got to walk out into the sea, just thinking, I'm just going to go for a swim and go and drown, or whatever. I don't know.
Reginald Perrin, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I just don't know. But then all of a sudden, I've heard my phone ring, and it's like, whoa. So I've just snapped out of this, and then it's my brother ringing me, and he just says, no, I just had a feeling I should phone you.
Oh wow!
Like, whoa,
the connection.
Yeah. So that saved me. Yeah. There's been a couple other times when I've thought about it. Yeah. I mean, it's like suicide. What the fuck am I doing here? What's the point? Sometimes, but that's the thing I remember that I acted out, and I would have been dead if my phone hadn't rang.
That's interesting as well.
Well, everything happens for a reason.
100%, yeah.
But because there's different stories that you hear that, like, under the influence of, like, normally like mushrooms or LSD. Did you check that as well?
Yeah, not as much. I've taken it. Yeah, we used to take it when we were 15, 16 as a.
Because I've heard some stories like where it does open people up to sort of, I don't know, these different dimensions, or seeing the future, or seeing, different things. And I remember, I'll just share a quick little story. So, like, I remember watching an episode on Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience. What's called. And so this fellow was on chatting, and him and his brother had, they must have took some, like, that's what it was. They were actual scientists.
Okay.
Right. And they'd found these mushrooms, and they were growing outside a police station. So they'd snuck back, got all these mushrooms and everything else, took them back to their house. And to get the effects of it, they had to put them in a blender and, like, drink like a whole amount of it. It was like, what's called, anyway. So they did it. And they're tripping off the tits or whatever, and the one of them, while he's tripping, he has this vision of massive, like, mudslides and water, and basically as the water's rushing past him, he sees hundreds and hundreds of dead cattle or drowning, all coming past him and everything.
Yeah,
and very profound, right? So anyway, the next morning at breakfast, he's like, telling his brother, he's like, fucking hell, I've had this real weird dream or experience while I was tripping and everything else. Anyway, he must have been due to go back home in a few days later, but the weather in America had changed, and there was, like, hurricanes and this kind of stuff. And he said, I've got to go back to my cabin, all my college and school work's in there, all my research, study work and everything. I need it. And they said, well, you best hurry up because the hurricane's going that way. Anyway, so he rushed back to wherever it was in America, and when he got close to where his cabin was, the police had barricaded it off.
Right.
And he said, no, I've got to get through. Anyway, he went on foot. So he went through the forest or whatever it was, the woods, and he got to his cabin where all his stuff was.
Yeah.
But the weather had took a change for the worst.
Right.
So then when he's come out with his stuff, he's ended up falling down the embankment. And as he's fell down the embankment, he looks up, and there's water from the dam and everything. It's all coming past him, and all the cows are coming past him.
Right.
But he saw it a week earlier when he was tripping.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, that's like, what is this dimension world we're living in? It's just, and so I'm always intrigued when people talk about, like, when they've
you open yourself up, don't you?
I think, well, because everything comes back to like the pineal gland and learning stuff, and we talk about this, and this is why it's important to look after your vessel and your body, and the stuff you put in your body. Because
we can talk about that because you went on that journey, didn't you?
So let's just take it the step. So you've gone through like 19 years of the addiction.
Yeah.
And everything else. So by now you're talking, what, you're 35, 36?
Yeah, 38 when I...
38 before I quit.
Yeah, so by the time... So I've been hit by a truck, parents divorce, lost my mum, been a drug addict, and many, many other things for the first 38 years of my life. And then on to Tony Robbins.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is where, I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know the reason that I was there, but I've been up, it was a Friday morning, and it was a free 2-hour event to sell tickets for the UPW, Unleash the Power Within.
Yeah.
And,
in Manchester, this?
Yeah, it was at the Renaissance Hotel in Manchester, and this was just a free event, about 350, 400 people to sell the tickets, and a guy called Alan Clenans who was holding it. And he says, so I've come to this event, and I've had the last line of cocaine in the toilets, and I didn't have any coke, so I'm basically sat at the bar, shaking, and after no sleep, because I've basically finished the night shift on the motorways and then come to this. Yeah. So I've had no sleep, I'm off my head, absolutely wired. I'm sat there shaking, I'm just another espresso. So then I've gone into the event, and Alan's gone through everything about, going through everything. He says, right, does anybody want to say why they're here? And I had trouble speaking to people with the exercises because I'm a gibbering wreck, and I'm coming down off coke, and my jaw's all over the show. He says, anybody want to say why they're here? And my hand's gone up. I'm like, who the fuck put that there? Sort of thing. So, and then he says, you're second. I was like, whoa. So I stood up in front of about 350 people and says, I'm a cokehead, I'm off my head now, and I want to stop. And stopped.
So hold on. Let's just hold on. Let's rewind a little bit. Right. So hold on. So you're working on the roads. You took a line of coke, right? Yeah. So I've ended up at this event.
So this is Wednesday. On the Wednesday, I've gone and got my usual 2 or 3 grams and paid the dealer off with the money that I've had. Yeah. So I've been up all Wednesday night, all Thursday day, all Thursday night. Yeah. And now this is the Friday morning, a 2-hour event from half 10 till half 12.
So how did you end up getting to this event?
I don't know. I was there. I would have applied for it. I might have been off my head looking at my phone or whatever when we got our job on. I'm sat there wired.
So you've decided to apply for an event to turn up at
go to this. Maybe because I maybe would have started hearing about Tony Robbins. Maybe because of the hypnotherapy and the work that I've been done, because this isn't just I was like, I stopped that day, but I've realised that maybe the year or 2 prior that I've started to do the work, the hypnotherapy, the little bits of gaps that have been a little bit longer.
So 2 years before this, you have already started to work on yourself.
Doing a few bits. I've done hypnotherapy. I've started to listen to stuff and other things.
So you were unhappy with the way your life was going,
but I was still wired. Well, I'm doing 100 right. So if I'm doing 12-hour night shifts, doing 12 on 2 off, I'll start work on a Monday. I'll work 12 shifts in a row at night, and then on the Saturday morning I'll finish my shift into the Saturday morning, and then I've got the rest of Saturday and then Sunday, and then I'm back in work Monday. So really you're only having one full day off.
That's right, yeah.
In a 2-week period. So it's only 2 days off, full days off a month. And I've lived my life like this for 13, 14 years. I've been spending 35 to 50, 60, 70 grand a year on every single year that I've been working on the motorways. And I've not been sleeping. I've been taking loads of steroids, hammering at the gym. I mean, I used to start sniffing on a Wednesday, and then by the Sunday morning after no sleep, I used to go down to Wolverhampton and do a tough guy assault course.
I love Wolverhampton.
Off my rocker. So so I used to do a 10-mile assault course off my rocker when I've not slept, because that was my life. But my life was off my head. My life was drugs.
Wow. Them 2 years before we go back to the Tony Robbins thing, something must have been clicking with you, where you're saying like,
I did a 9-week
it might have been a person, a conversation, or something on telly, but someone would have said, do you know what, I'm going to go and...
Yeah, well, I did a hypnotherapy course. It was about removing the trauma from my life, from everything. But it was a long period of time. So I would say I did a 9-week hypnotherapy course where I'd go over to Oakham. You know Oakham, Rutland Waters? No. Beautiful part of the world. Go there, just amazing. There's no hills or anything. I prefer the mountains, but beautiful. Yeah. So I used to finish my night shift at like 3, 4 in the morning, leave a little bit early, drive over to Oakham, which is about a 3-hour drive, go to sleep in my car, get woken up by the hypnotherapist, jump out of my car, go and have a 45-minute hypnotherapy session on working going forward, and then come away, get back in my car, and then drive back ready for my shift the next day. But some of the time I'd still be trying to escape. I still won't get the cocaine. Sometimes I'd turn off my head. I mean, it depends, but it was all the releasing, because you can't change your outer world until you do the inner world work.
100%.
So you need to change your inner world. Yeah. So I've been doing this course. I mean, there's a guy in Chorley that I've been to as well that does the hypnotherapy, and I've had 2 or 3 week stints off it at the time. His name might come to me. but he's brilliant. So like very deep, very deep.
We've got one coming on.
Yeah, very very deep with that. So all these events have led up to it, but I was still escaping it. But then you realise that when you're working 12 on 2 off, and you haven't really got a life, and you've been a liar, and you're growing weed, and you can't stay down anything, you realise that that's life anyway. So then it came to, after doing all this, and it came to that day, and then Alan Clenhans is doing the talk, and then all of a sudden I've just stood up and said, I'm a cokehead, I'm off my head now and I want to stop. That led to then, massive round of applause, well done and everything, but I wanted to do the Tony Robbins event, but I didn't have any money. I'm a drug addict, so I've got nothing. So then Alan wanted to talk to me afterwards, but because I'm stood around for half an hour and I'm clucking, I'm like, I'm getting out of here. So I left. I was like, oh, well, this isn't going to work. Left, I've gone. So I'm driving down the road, and then Twiggy, who's my best mate, but he's been my best mate for years. He's been like your soul brother sort of thing. With Twiggy, he was, when I used to get kicked out, or he was the first person to walk me home when I was 11, and I went to Broad Oak School, and he was the first person. He walked me home on that first day, so we were very close from that day. Yeah. He phoned me up out of the blue when I was driving away from the Renaissance Hotel, and I told him, and he said, well, stick it on my credit card. So he paid for the event for me for Tony Robbins. So then from that, I got to go to the Tony Robbins event. Alan Clenhans, who's one of Tony Robbins' head trainers, is a very good friend of mine, and he puts me through the stuff that we're going to talk about a little later. This is why I've got massive trust in it as well. So one of Tony Robbins' head trainers, who's a very good friend of mine now, and then from that I've done quite a few of the Tony Robbins events, and I've volunteered there as well, and worked at the Tony Robbins event as well. So I basically help people go through the firewalk. I've on the first time I turned up there, I was doing the Diamond and Solitaire suite, and I was still very in myself, and I got asked to basically meet and greet people, and I'm in a massive room, 500 times size this, asking to meet and greet millionaires. I'm like, well, I've got to fucking step up here, haven't I? Boom, stepped up, made that event for people. Yeah. So it was from that day of quitting, was basically when I started to realise that I don't live in the past, I live on it. So what I'm saying to you now, up until this time, the last hour or whatever, I've said everything I've said, I don't say it through the victim anymore. I say it to thank you for all this happened to me, because I can grow from it and create amazing events out of this shit in the past. Instead of sitting here going, oh, I feel sorry for me. Oh, why this, why that? It's not fuck, yes, come on. And then you create the better for it.
That's fantastic.
Because then that story will help everybody.
What an inspiration you are, Jay.
And the amount of massive trauma that I've been through and the stuff that I've basically gone, when I feel like I've been very alone doing it, because a lot of people won't understand it. But I'm just thinking, hang on a minute, somebody's soul needed to do this, and I've been blessed to be able to do that. I beat a truck, I beat addiction, I beat suicide, I've beaten everything, and now all I'm doing is creating. You still go the knockbacks.
Challenges, aren't they?
The knockbacks used to be this low, and now the knockbacks are here, but that knockback used to be my good. Yeah. But then all you do is grow. Yeah, and people say, oh no, well, I'm feeling like this. Good, because it's either good or you're learning.
Agreed.
So keep learning.
You got to keep pushing and growing, ain't you?
Yeah.
You have. Well, I think they say it might be the Tony Robbins thing. Is if you, it might be Bob Proctor. If you're not pushing forward and growing, you're declining and dying.
Exactly. Well, say if you're part of nature and you're a deer, and there's a line coming at you, you're going to leg it. But then the thing about a deer is basically, if they don't leg it, then they're not going to be part, and that's when they leg it, that's part of them. But the thing with a deer is they'll do that, the heartbeat, or they'll go into the fight or flight mode, which a lot of people live in, which I was doing for years. But then what they do is they'll go, right, well, the lion isn't around anymore, go back to grazing. The thing about people, they live on that memory of the lion coming and attacking them. Right. Oh, well, this lion attacked me back in 2004, and this is why I'm...
So true.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. But then you could just go, all right, well, hang on a minute, that event's just happened. Right, well, it's been 24 hours, that's been too long, or it's been 5 minutes too long. I'm going to step out of that because that thought doesn't pay me anymore.
You've got to live your life, haven't you?
And so I'm abundant, I'm great, I'm my own person, I can do what the fuck I want when I want, as much wherever I want, I'm amazing. And then you create those things coming to you instead of going, poor me.
And there's only, and we've said this before, I don't know if you've come across this or you feel the same way, there's only one thing worse than being the victim and living in the past, and there's only one thing worse than not pushing forward, and that's being stuck in the comfort zone.
The comfort zone, we said, we're talking about that
place to be.
That's exactly what we said.
The more uncertainty you can live with, the better quality life you're going to have. Because if you think everything's certain, people seek certainty. And they seek certainty and instant gratification, because I don't feel good enough unless I've got a new car. Or I don't feel good enough unless I've got this house. Whatever. They believe that it's the certainty that drives them. Oh, I'm okay now.
That's what I said. The comfort zone is the worst.
I'm comfortable. Right, well, I planned all this week because I'm going to watch this on TV. I'm going to do this. I can walk into this job. I can do this. And then I've just lived 10 years.
I lived that life, and it's boring.
It is boring.
Yeah. It is boring.
It is. And do you know what? Because there's loads of people in the graveyard who lived in the comfort zone, and they spend the whole life, and it's boring as fuck.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why. Why would you come to this planet or this earth or whatever? And even if you're not even spiritual or anything, but why would you spend your whole life following a system to grow old and then just fucking die?
Yeah,
I can't think of nothing worse.
A lot of people, they say, I want to do this when I retire. But because you've trained your body to be in that anxious state or that worried state of the fight or flight, that the minute you think you retire, you can live what you want, you're going to drop dead because you've lost all. But I've already retired. I'm already living the life you don't need a holiday from. Because of all this amazing trauma and all this amazing fuck-ups I've been through, I've created this amazing life that I can now live.
We are creators.
We are creators of
everybody. Every individual
creates and manifests of the life that we want to live.
Yeah, which, if you think about it, if we're all a starseed or we're all part of God or the big, well, that is creation. Because God is creation. You know what I mean?
The universe is constantly expanding. Therefore, we're constantly expanding as well. It's our experience. But why have a boring one? Again, consciously make that decision. Do you want to live that monotonous existence, or do you want to have an adventure while you're here?
You want it,
Creation is the best way to do it, and being that creative element, it's a wonderful thing. We're doing it here with this. It's just constant creation. We never stop coming up with ideas. Yeah. If we had more than 24 hours, even though time's another kind of subject, but we would just build and build, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what's coming. Yeah. And so I'm glad you've mentioned about the Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi thing, because I got into that probably about maybe 12 months or just over 12 months ago. So like, I had already learnt about the secret and manifestation, law of attraction 15 years ago. I keep mentioning because it seems like such a long time now, but I never implemented anything for years. I used to be able, I was one of them. I'd be able to tell you to do it, and I'd explain it to you, but I would never go home and do it myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I would thought, well, when I see you doing well, I might try it, kind of thing.
Yes,
But then obviously, you know, I've said this before. So like back in 2015, 2016, I decided. That was just after my dad had died. I decided, right, that's it. My life was shite, and I thought, right, this time I'm gonna follow it, and that's where everything changed, because I changed me. I changed my mindset, and now we're both sat here opposite each other, and you know this as well. It only changes. Your world changes when you change. No one else changes.
Your personality creates your personal reality.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you're somebody that's depressed, that lives in fear, that lives in anxiety, and lets everybody boss you around, then you're going to create more of exactly that into your life. But if you're somebody that's abundant, you don't put labels on things, and you just allow the things to come, flow, and you live in the moment and don't live in here. You live in this present moment. I say that thinking is against my religion. I don't think. I just allow. I just create. And if I'm thinking, I'm not. But
when you're in that place, just in the experience that you're having is a beautiful thing. Like now, there is nothing else but right now.
Well, you wouldn't want to be anywhere, but this is right there. It's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah. Right there, it's fantastic. Yeah. So if you're giving off that feeling and emotion and energy of this is fucking ace. Well, then that's the energy we're getting. So that's how law of attraction works. Because this feeling what we're having of, this is amazing. That's what we're sending out to the universe. So then the universe brings us back more of this.
Making it feel amazing.
You know what I mean?
And we couldn't label that. It's like, right, well, in 2 weeks, we're gonna have this amazing event or this amazing event. A lot of people can say, right, well, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be getting up at 9 o'clock. I'm going to sit in that same traffic. I'm going to brush my teeth with the same hand. I'm going to drink the coffee with the same. I'm going to do this, because it's so predictable.
Yeah.
Well, 2 weeks in time isn't predictable for us. We might have stuff in our calendars, but 2 weeks isn't predictable because we're going to create so much in between, and the millions of nows that are in between there and then.
Funny that. And do you know what? In my journey, I've got to be honest, I'm not going to say I'll give it much thought, but I don't really ever think about, you would be the same. I don't think about my past at all.
Don't know.
It doesn't hold a place in my memory. But also, I don't have much thought about the future. I literally, without even trying, because I've not done any courses, or I've always said this, I've never really had a mentor. I sort of just make it up as I go along, and I seem to be landing on the right spots. Right? Yeah. But I literally just don't think about tomorrow. I don't think about yesterday. I literally just live and create, and now. So now, if I went somewhere, they'd probably teach me this, but I've just been fortunate enough. I've stumbled across it on my own.
You've been through the knocks yourself to find yourself in this position.
Yeah, my experiences have pushed me. Like I've always said, I have more faith in spirit and source, and because the information I've got has led me to where I am now. But that's not come from an outside influence. It's not come from a person. That's just the way I've learned.
But we can look at it, the fact that we are guided.
Yeah. I think we are guided, 100%.
And it's recognising the kind of signs and the guides that's happening. Because for years I didn't even see that I was being guided, but once you start aligning yourself with that and you can feel it, you can start seeing. I
think a lot of times it's only afterwards you look back and you can say, "Oh, that was a sign. That was a
significant emotional event."
Yeah.
So, because I couldn't tell you what happened through a lot of my life, sort of thing, but significant emotional event that came to me was suicide. Significant emotional event is standing up in front of a room of 350 people when I couldn't even speak to the person next to me. They're the massive events that help you change, and they're the things you say, "I'll take catalyst from that."
Got different levels, it's like leveling up, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's take you back to this. So you're welcoming millionaires or whatever now to a show.
Yeah, so I'm at the Tony Robbins event, still probably on a come down, because I still remember, because I was that full of inflammation, I lost something like 2 stone the minute I came off cocaine.
Wow.
Because of the inflammation. I mean, I've not been to a doctor's since 2015. I've not taken a pharmaceutical drug in nearly 10 years. It's my 10th year, because I'm completely,
clean,
yeah. But I used to have massive inflammation in the shoulder, and I literally this would have been trouble. But now, because I've removed stuff and everything, I know that there's a place for pharmaceutical and everything. If I get hit by another truck, then it's like, please stop the bleeding. Otherwise, it's because I don't create any illness. Get a bit of a cough every now and then. I've lost track of what I was saying. Yeah. So it's
I'm detoxing at the moment, but I think actually I've got the COVID.
Yeah, so you're just saying, so like you're at this show, and obviously you've lost weight as well. So where does it take you from?
Well, so I've gone to the Tony Robbins event. I've been to the Tony Robbins event, which I can't remember much of because of, I think I was in the. It took me 3 months to come down.
Right. Okay.
Because I was doing at this time I was doing £1,500 a week at the time when I quit. So that's what I mean. So it was like a lot of, because of the cash was there from the weed I used to grow. It's
like a day's
wage. 50-60 plants, and that's how much I'm getting paid for being here.
That's the appearance thing.
What did you say? £1,500?
But up to £1,500 a week.
Matt Hancock wants that for an hour.
Yes. Yeah. So,
well, I think Matt Hancock is worth £10,000 a day. He's a very, very.
What is he? Is he really good footstool?
Well, we like to we refer to Matt Hancock here as a full kit wanker. Yes. We don't have much love for Matt Hancock.
No. It's all by design, though, isn't it? So,
But anyway, listen. I told you
So I've gone to the Tony Robbins event, which I don't really know much about. Because I think it was in that come down period, and there's a massive thing of the only thing that I remember that was good out of that was basically I got myself out of traffic management within a year after quitting drugs. So that created freedom for me, which was 4 years ago. I think it's just turned 4 years, in February since I quit full time for working for somebody else properly. So with that, so it's like, so then when I volunteered there and I was part of the crew, I put myself down for the Diamond and Solitaire suite. It's where people are paying 15-20 grand to be sat here. Tony Robbins, he's spitting on you as he's talking, sort of thing, because you're getting the information a lot better, and he'll come down and speak to you and stuff. I think it's on day 2. Basically, it was all a bit, people are still getting used to it, and we're in the middle of London and everything. I've been one of the only people there that is working on this side of the event. I was in the Diamond Solitaire suite, so I just told her, right, you need to go and meet and greet people. You're the only person here at the moment. You need to go and meet and greet. And I'm just like, I'm still well in myself here. It's like, I'm not confident. I'm not a confident person. So I'm stood there, massive room, and people are walking. It's like, I need to get on my own fucking way, don't I? So I need to create the outcome that I want instead of telling myself that I'm not good enough, which so many people do. I want to do this, but I'm not good enough, so I'll just stick to what I already know. Well,
keep repeating.
Yeah, and keep repeating, and then wonder why you've not got anywhere. So I'm just like, right, cool. So I basically opened myself up, and I've spoke to hundreds of people in there.
Can you remember what you said?
No. It was like, well, because it was over. It was over 5 or 6 days. So I just remember I've got pictures of it. But I'll bring them up sort of thing over time. Yeah. So I just remember thinking, right, well, I've got to stand up here, and so I just meeting and greets, letting them come in, and a lot of people at the end of it said, listen, because it's long 15, 16 hour days, a few people said to me that you kept the energy going in the room. Before I understood what energy was, and before I understood any of it, I'm still I was still getting better from the addiction, because it was still in that time, and then it was just like, so to be told that, and then to probably have 6 hours sleep over the 5 or 6 days of being there, because of you still got to do the bit after when everybody else has gone home, and you're that wired anyway, because you're around all this amazing energy, amazing people.
He's on stage for like 12 hours straight, and
it does that, because then you realise people think they need energy for food from energy and for their energy, but it's like, well,
he's a big fella, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and he goes, and he'll eat probably 200 calories for the whole time, because of we are energy. We're trillions and trillions of cells that are just energy, that are just all together to make this human body. And if you look through it through a microscope, your finger would disappear, because we're just energy. This is just same sound but different frequency.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So so all we have is frequency and energy. So when you realise that you don't need something, you just how you speak to yourself. If you're tired and I could make us all feel tired and
of course,
But no, I just want to be this, because it's the energy that we're getting, and that's what he does.
He's high energy. So when obviously, so then 5 or 6 days now you're working there, like helping set up and meet and greet and everything.
So being there.
So is that classed as a worker? You didn't have to pay to go to
No. It was volunteer.
Like a volunteer.
Yeah, it's like part of the team.
But did you get to meet Tony or any of the team yourself?
No, it's like, because I know Alan anyway, so he got me in there. But
and he's one of his managers?
Yeah, he's one of his head trainers. Yeah. It's like Peter Sage. I've done a lot of Peter Sage work as well.
I'm not familiar with that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant Peter Sage. Look at him, because he's got his own way of training. I think it's exceptional. I say a lot of stuff that I've learnt from him.
Okay, I'll check that out. Peter Sage.
Yeah. It's like he says, and in the event, an event is only an event. It's just the emotion that you attach to it that makes it.
Well, that's because what's called, you'll know is also like what Tony does is, and this is what we want to do when we start. So your memory is attached to the energy.
Yeah.
So this is why at the start of it they always get people up and clapping and dancing and singing, because then your memory is attached to that.
It's
that's how you remember the information, what he's telling you, and how you get it in. This is why as well people always in the memory, if you like. That's why you remember your birthdays and a wedding, and you know what I mean. It's because it's a high energy, And we could go off on a whole new thing, because also as well that's where ghosts come in, because when they die in a high impact and energy, they leave the hologram and the imprint. But anyway, that's another story. But what's good? But so Peter Sage, we'll have a look into that. That's interesting. So what come of the next stage? Because obviously...
From that, it was just basically growing into the person that I want to be. And
so did you spend more time with this fella, Tony Robbins' manager? Or
Alan's a good friend of mine.
Oh, he's a good friend.
Yeah. So I can, it's over time sort of thing. I've done some of his stuff as well, because he does a lot of spiritual... because he does a lot of spiritual things. Yeah, he does a lot of spiritual things stuff. Right. Alan's brilliant, an amazing human being. And then the people I met out from that are the people that know energy and know. So I'm still learning this, but then the people that I'm meeting, the people that I'm around, it's like and then it's the events. So you just think there's pennies that drop. Go right. So if I stop thinking about the past event because I'm putting too much energy into it and too much emotion. If I say, right, well, I got hit by a truck when I was 4 and I attach a load of emotion to it, and it's so bad because I broke my leg, it's like, what you're doing is creating something bad for me. I just got hit by a fucking truck and I won.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'd celebrate that.
Yeah. So it's a celebration. And then the event is just the event. Yeah. I got hit by a truck and I got put in hospital. It's the emotion that you attach to it that makes
you don't need to spend your whole life running it, do you?
So many people sit there and go, oh, well, I'm this, I'm that, and this. And then they're basically, their body, because we're just a big ball of chemical, their body is then looking for those chemicals to say, right, because if you suddenly take the, somebody gets up in the morning, they have a coffee, they go and sit there, and they're sat in traffic for 2 hours, and they complain about the traffic, and then they go to the work, and then they talk about the traffic, and they
100%,
if they say to themselves, tomorrow I'm going to stop, I'm not going to complain about, I'm not going to do this, then your body's like, well, hang on a minute, you've spent the last 4 years complaining about those same things, so how come you've all of a sudden you've stopped? And then the body will look for things that will help them complain even more, and they'll be stuck in those complaints. I can't change, I'm not good enough. Thanks, the body's there, sat there, because it's the certainty.
Because that's the feeling, and that's what's happening.
Hang on a minute, I'm becoming consciously aware of all my thoughts and feelings, and say, sorry body, you can sit the fuck still, you can sit down, and you are listening to me, and even if you just sit back and close your eyes for 4 minutes, and go, wow, I've just managed to do that, pat on the back, give yourself a clap, and then turn it into because then your body starts to say, wait a minute, I like the sound of this. What are you doing to make yourself do this? And then you look for more of the things you do that. So it's like, whoa, I've had a coffee because I chose to instead of habit.
Yeah.
I've just drove for 6 miles, and because I'm not thinking about then my body's just looking for different chemicals and change who you are. Yeah.
Fantastic. So okay, let's get back. So you're good friends with this fella. You've done this thing. So what does that lead into you then? What's your next step? What did you get into?
Well, basically because of so I quit my job, but I was still growing weed because it was a great income.
I've heard that a lot, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say you, but I have had people who've said I used to make loads of money. But
I think doing 4 or 5 grows a year, 60 plus plants.
But it fucking stinks.
Yeah, well, it's got the right neighbours. Yeah, you've got good ventilation.
It smells like cabbage to me.
I used to live on my sofa and just basically grow upstairs, and great neighbours, because this is what I did. There was a reason why I was always dead polite, because when you're polite and your neighbours go, he's a great lad, you don't want to be arsed on him.
just like smoking the old gadget.
So I lived in I think about 11 to 14 properties over a 9-year period, and just basically before I actually settled down in this house where I managed to have it. So because they wanted to do 6 months, I'll just go on to this little story of when I first started growing in this house I last lived in.
Yeah, go.
They wanted to come and check. They wanted to come and check the house every 3 months. For the probation period when I was first living there, and I had a grow of some like 15 plants upstairs. So I got in from a night shift. I thought, right, I'm gonna have half an hour on the sofa, and then I can start to clear this room out. But I think it's 3 weeks into flower, and they were so I'm like, and then I've fallen asleep, and then say they were due at 10 o'clock. I woke up at 3 minutes to 10, and I've got 15 plants upstairs. So what I've done is I've run upstairs. I've got all the plants out of the room, put them into the loft, cleared the room out completely, dropped all the lights, cleared the room out, made it look like a bedroom in about 45 minutes. And as I'm spraying links on myself and spraying around the house, about 45 seconds later, they've knocked on the door. They've come in, checked the house, gone, oh yeah, that's absolutely fine, and went.
Quality.
That's like the universe saying, yeah, we've got your back here. We'll stall them for a bit. She might have been stuck at a red light that she would have hit green if I had, stuff like that. So the universe is going to go. Those bits that I can look back at now and just go, see, I've always been manifesting. I've always been doing good for the way, even though it's been so bad. I mean, I got hit by the truck because if it was somebody else that had to get that done, then he might have died from that. I've gone through divorce and parent death and everything because I've been able to handle it. So everything is a bonus.
So without going into it too much, what's your opinions on weed? Because obviously in America it's getting more and more popular in certain states.
Yeah,
it's
but
legal.
I just personally think that it's growing, it's natural.
I've never smoked it, and I've no experiences whatsoever. But like your missus, it helps with the pain, and I know these days you can get like CBD oil,
CBD and stuff, oil.
So to be honest, I have a circle of friends around me with mixed emotions. I have some are on the spectrum of. It fucks people's heads up. It's really bad. It's negative. And then I have other people who are like, "Hey, it's the best thing ever." You know what I mean?
Well, I've gone through ways. I mean, at the moment, I've not smoked it for quite a long time because it's just not. But I'll never say I'm never going to smoke it again because if I go around someone's house and I'm having a spliff, I'll have a bit of a spliff, whatever. Yeah. But I won't smoke it in my normal life now because if it doesn't serve me at the point at the moment. But with it, I just see it It's something that can grow naturally, and it's been put on this earth. It's not something that's been processed or made. It's something natural, so it's...
And they want to control it because it has so many great properties. That's the thing.
Because of the properties in it. You mean, it is, you can do, but I started smoking it when I was 10 years old. And I'm 43 now, and I'm absolutely fine.
People who are not watching on camera. Yeah, it looks great.
I'm absolutely fine. I'm a fit, healthy human being.
So just to recap, we've got our very own Breaking Bad Eisenhower opposite us.
I'm right.
Do you want to talk us through the meth lab and the process of making it?
But basically, I was doing it through seed oil. You do it through cutting. So before you put it into flour, you take your cuttings. You put your cuttings under a lesser light. So say you've got your 600 watt lights you're going to be growing and flouring it under.
Yeah.
You put them on 100 watt lights. Let your cuttings get roots. Yeah. And then once you've got your roots, you then put them into a higher light, at which point you're then, the plants that you've got flowering are ready to take down. And then as you've taken it down, you put them all into your dry room. You dry your buds. You've got your big buds, you dry it. And in that process, you are then... you're then growing your small cuttings into decent sized plants to then, when they get to a certain height, which I'd do around my upper thigh, I would then turn it into flower. And then you're only got about a 2 to 3 week breaker where you haven't got any bud. So you've constantly got this income, and I was getting 10, 15 grand every 6 to 8 weeks.
So was you selling it as well?
Yeah, I was a coke dealer. I've done all sorts. I moved on to another little story. I moved down to what I found out. Sorry, another significant emotional event. I found out I had another brother when I was 18. And my other brother was basically lived in London, and he used to drive his car because my mum had a child when she was 17 and she was forced to adopt. So she adopted. And then he used to drive around a car when I used to go and basically cause havoc in Uxbridge, so we were there at the same time. But I found out I had another brother and met him and everything. 2002, I moved to Watford to sort my head out because I was that high into ecstasy and stuff and all this stuff, cocaine. I moved to Watford. Rather than sorting my head out, I got myself a job at a nursing home as a kitchen manager. And then I went and basically I walked up to a 6'5" big fella as a doorman. And I walked up to him and says, hey, mate, have you got any door work? And this is before I started steroids. And he looked down and went, well, I've never had anybody walk up to me and say that. So, yeah, you can have a job. So I got a job as a doorman. I was a skinny little pillhead. I was like that. So when I got steroids, within 3 weeks, took some Anapolon. It was massive. So, and then within about 5 or 6 weeks of becoming a doorman, I then started selling pills and cocaine on the door. And then I was one of the biggest dealers in Watford at the time. Wow. So doing it for all the door work and everything. So that was when I used to have sniff on tap sort of thing. And doing that, and I was getting the best stuff, and I used to actually send it in cassette boxes through the post up to people in Manchester.
No way.
Yeah, so that was 2002, 2003. By the way, I don't do anything. I don't even live in a house.
No.
Can I just go back to the growing bit?
Yeah.
Can we do some demonstration videos?
I was just about to say, can we not turn this into like a subscription?
I'll tell you now,
if you want to learn how to grow and make your own weed, pay $9.99 to the Drink Michigan platform.
I'll teach you, because I did it because it's when I moved, because when I went to Watford, I then, because I was earning very good money doing all that as well, I then went to Australia travelling for a bit, and then I came back to Manchester, and that's when I started working in traffic management. So then from there I started growing the minute I got back. So it was like, that's when I was in and out of houses, because I was earning anything up to 50, 60 grand a year working, and I was earning another 30, 40, 50 grand from growing as well, putting all that together on very good money, but I never had any money. So I used to get the money together to pay for a 4-bedroom house. It was like, £450, £500 a month back then for a big house for renting. I used to get the grand, pay for that, get the grow up, pay 2 or 3 months in advance, and then when I paid for it, they used to leave me alone because the rent was paid, get a grow, and then not pay rent for 2 months while I was doing another grow and change the locks in the house. And then from that, I used to then take the second grow down and do a runner and go and get another house or whatever. And over that period, it's like, 6, 7, 8 months. So I used to not be able to live, working out. I mean, I was that bad with money, and because of the fear and lack that I'd been taught when I was younger, that you have to pay me £50 a week rent. I never used to get a year's insurance. So I used to pay my insurance, but then because I used to have no money at a certain point, you used to cancel it and then just not drive insured for 2 months.
I know we're going to go into this in a bit, but what if the world at that point had central bank digital currencies, and you wouldn't be able to live that life, would you?
No.
Because they control all your money, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. So now it's like
But back then, was there any ever like police or arrests or any? Was there any? Did you ever like, I don't know, other gang members or anything like that? Didn't? So
No,
you're the most placid drug dealer you've ever.
Yeah, because I was dead placid and nothing ever, because I used to do it because of if I have to pay £3,000 an ounce of coke because I'm buying deals, well, why not get it for £800, chop it up, sell some of it that pays for your habit, and then do the rest. So 28 grams, I used to probably sell 8 grams and do 20, because I used to just nearly get enough to pay for some more.
So you wore that much off your head. You were still clever enough to think.
Well, yeah, but this is what I didn't even know what I was doing either, because I was always skinned. But as long as I had the money to get high at that point, it was just a habit.
His guardian angel was doing that for him. It's like,
I know.
This is what we do, JB.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah,
okay,
I'm sure them. I'd say, and all I can say is I hope the eagle, is it? Or
Phoenix.
Yeah, the Phoenix is actually moving on that screen. If not, what have you put in that copy's ace? It's like every time I look, he's changed position, lad.
Give it another out. We'll be smoking weed and back on the white stuff.
I know,
No. The only white stuff we do here is magnesium.
And that,
open the peanut glass here. Quality.
Yeah,
so you've come off the traffic management and you've been on these Tony Robbins events, are working there. So where are we up to there in your life now?
So I've left traffic management. I'm sat there and I'm just like, right, I'm absolutely skint at this point. I still haven't learnt the fact that money is just a byproduct of an emotion. Yeah. And my emotion around money was bad because it was all fear and lack still. So I didn't have a penny. I wanted to get out of traffic management. I wasn't growing weed by then. I was basically getting more on the straight and narrow, if you can call it that. Actually.
Was there any reason why you was getting on the straight? Was there a person in your life, or because
no, just figure that because of somebody said to me recently, a mate, he said, when I was off my head 10, 15 years ago, I said to him one day, he says, I've got an ambition to basically travel the world and do what I want and be free. So whether it was that,
so something ticking away
the
inside
universe is creating different outcomes for me. So I've had him a notice in my job, and that's the last time I actually worked full-time employment, because I used to be self-employed a lot as well. Yeah. So I've had him noticing, but then I've had to get a loan on my van to be able to live, because I've got absolutely nothing. So in fact, no, I still was growing then as well, but not as much, because one of the people that did it actually stole a lot off me. He broke into my house and stole 60 plants.
But you've said sorry for that in your crypt.
Well, no, I need to apologise. I was going to do it in a letter, though.
Oh, okay.
In
a letter, send it by pigeon.
Apologise to his face.
JB, I smoked it off.
Yes, good.
I'm a big believer in letting your energy and emotions go. So just apologise.
Yes,
I had a wicked experience, and I'm really thankful.
But the good thing is, though, it wasn't quite ready, so it was still full of chemicals. So
you know what? I can handle that.
So
that's why he's fucked up.
I basically left my job, and then, which was 4 years ago. So I was still doing bits of growing, but I was working for myself. And then obviously all the lockdown and everything came, and that completely wiped because I was doing, people actually got that scared of it. They wouldn't let me work in the back garden in case I coughed on them. So I basically lost all my work. I mean, nothing.
That's right, because you're doing the gardening.
Yeah.
So you've always been a bit of a green thing.
That's me. Outdoor gardening, indoor gardening, wherever a garden grows, I'll sort it for you. So it's better indoors on natural light. You know what I mean? It's more natural.
Yeah. Bit of copper.
Yeah. So from that, I've just thought that I don't want to live in property anymore, because we all get taught that to be successful in life, you have to go to school and get good grades. Then you have to go to college to get more good grades. Then university. So all you live in, you live in the first 25, 30 years of life of basically told you're good enough by somebody else by a piece of paper that you get.
And if you don't do it, other people's level of success, Eddie.
Yeah, exactly. It's a curriculum of somebody else's education that they're teaching you. So you're basically, so you can't think for yourself and learn for yourself because it has to be on a piece of paper. Fair enough. In society, it is needed.
Yeah.
But when you don't do that, you are got told you are wrong. So you are not good enough, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I haven't gone down that route, obviously. So then at one point, I'm just like, right, well, I don't want to. This is thoughts I've had for many, many years. So I was like, well, I don't want to live in a house anymore. So the process was get some money together, which I did do through growing, and then with lockdown, I actually saw that as a massive benefit because I used to work at 100 mile an hour. I used to do 4-bedroom house moves on my own for people. I used to go and hire a van or use my Volkswagen Caddy, and do massive
house moves.
Yeah, and people say, "How do you used to do it?" Because you're seeing an object, but I'm seeing an object that I can use the weight of that for my. I mean, because I've always been quite strong, so I used to be able to do that. And but how have you just done that on your own? How have you just done this? Yeah. Do it. Or chop massive trees down. I mean, just do stuff.
It's like the Force, isn't it? It's like, just do it with your mind.
Yeah. So basically all I do is blink and it drops.
More Yoda.
Yeah. So you just get shit done, because that is one thing that I will say to my dad. When I was 13 years old, my dad had a stall on Salford Market, and I used to work with him, and I used to just be a natural grafter, and used to basically just be a very good person who used to be able to sell stuff for my dad as well. He used to go and do his bit that he needs to do through the day, and he used to come back and I'd make him 500 quid by a few sales, sort of thing, because I came, I was a little Cockney boy working.
I was going to say, I just had this image then of a little Cockney boy on the market.
Yeah.
Come and get your peas.
Come on, yeah. So anyway, so I would do well with that. So I've known graft, but then it turned into a bad thing, because if I had because I had an idea of when I was I had an idea of basically, which still could manifest, is go take people walking up mountains, because I've done a lot of travel, a lot of mountain sort of thing, and actually turn it into a place where you can actually teach people about how to get better than your reality of depression, or whatever the labels that you give yourself, and actually have it as a mental health advice, if that's the right way to say it. I don't like using that term, but health advice to say while you're walking, because my motto is nature heals. So taking people out in nature, and then they come down and they're a better person, and you charge people for doing that for your time and teaching them. Yeah. My dad says to me, "Oh, if you can blag that, if you think it's a blag because of it's not," he says, "Why don't you just go and drive lorries?" So, and then because of lockdown, everything basically went, and I lost completely all my money. But because I haven't got the piece of paper saying I'm good enough, I went to my dad and said, "Dad, I'm going to get kicked out of my house. I'm skint," which I was. Go to the government. So, but I already had gone to the government, and they don't mean the universal credit or whatever, just wasn't, because I'm a single bloke that confirmed for himself, so I wasn't getting anything anyway. No. So that day, he let me, I used to do all my dad's shopping for him and everything, and he let me keep some like £7.50 change.
That's kind.
Really nice. So what I did, I left it on the side and I walked out, and I haven't spoke to him or seen him again, because he was not serving my purpose in life, because he never thought I was good enough. Sometimes you have to do that. The people,
you have to walk away from the
and I've done that a couple of times, but then I've always gone back, because I felt for him as well. My dad needed me to be his little bitch and his servant. Now go fuck yourself, because I'm nobody's servant. I will carry my own life. He hasn't phoned me to say if I managed to pay rent or any of this and that. So it's like, sorry, you're not serving me in my own personal life. Thank you for what you've taught me, but you mean I've never been good enough, so see you later. And that's what I had to do to be able to grow.
They'll never change people.
No. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's hard when you think it's your parents, you know, your mum and dad. But this is the part of this journey, is understanding. You know, your teachers, your parents, they're not right. They're just telling you their perception, or they're teaching you their ways. But that doesn't mean their ways are right. And also, they've got their own issues and baggage. Like the way your dad probably treated you is he's never dug deep, but it's probably because of his own issues. But the thing is, if he never works on himself,
100%. Do you know what I mean? So he only knew what he was. It's his level of consciousness, his level of perception of life.
There has to be someone in the family that breaks the mould. In most families, there has to be someone who says, "Oh, I'm not
Then you become the black sheep. But you're not.
Well, you start off as the black swan or the black sheep or whatever, and then when everyone finds out that you're beautiful, and you're right after.
Absolutely.
And, but and
then a lot of people are jealous of the fact that
they don't like it because
they don't like it because you're supposed to be hive mind. You're supposed to go where everyone else goes.
Well, you think, right? Could you imagine right now? So you've had this yourself. So you've had family members who are like, what's Critch talking about, and this journey that you're on, and they probably think you're nuts, or they probably think
I'm mad.
or they think you're stupid, or you think you've been misguided or led. Now the thing is, I guarantee this now. So over the next few years, if whatever you do turns into a success, and you're doing very, very well for yourself. These same people, then it's like
they'll be waiting for you to go wrong and waiting for you to fail.
Just don't
because then that'll prove them right. People looking for proving them right.
But then they'll go, well, how have you done that?
Yeah.
Well, if you do well, then they'll just say you're lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
No, because they're the one. And this is the thing. It shouldn't matter even if you was wrong, but at least you've gone out and tried.
I'm sorry, but
what's wrong with being wrong?
Exactly. For every one person that's had success, they've failed 10,000 times. Everyone people are scared of failure. I love failure. I say, come on, hit me again, please, so I can grow some more.
You learn the most through failure, and anyone who's successful has normally failed several times.
Yeah.
Whether that's famous people, book authors, whatever.
Absolutely.
So you're on to sort of the lockdown period.
Yeah,
so
lockdown
we're going back 3.5 years now.
Yeah, it slowed me right
You've got no
down.
money.
Yeah.
You got no property now then as well.
I'm sort of still living in a house that I'm paying rent for.
You're paying rent in a house.
And then lockdown has
and your
come.
dad's give you £7.50 and you've said fucking shove it.
Yes, get on, so do not bother. So I've just carried on living my life the way that I do. So during lockdown period, I thought, right, roads are quiet, so I'll still go and just live my life as I do. So I'd go and climb mountains, so me and one of my friends went to Snowdon, and we had to move the 3 cones that they had blocking the car park, rebel, and then go and walk up Snowdon. Because everybody else is sitting at home thinking they're being healthy, we were the only 2 people on Snowdon that day, except for 2 workers who looked and went, fucking hell, there's people there. Because they believe that you can't move cones out of the way, and then you can't go and park in a space and go and pay for the parking, and then drive off and you've had your day, and everybody else is sat home going, I'm being healthy. So I've started to live a life that I saw as a massive bonus, because then I realised that I'm in this house, I've got all these things, I've not watched TV for 10 years more. Don't do TVs. I've had a TV in the past, but
that's
we used to do music.
You could use.
But yeah, exactly. You mean the television programming box? Yeah.
So you're telling me you don't know what's currently going on in EastEnders and Coronation Street?
Yeah, we'll talk about after though.
All right. Because I tell you what, there's some great storylines.
Yeah.
Apparently, Snoop Doggy Dogg's coming on Coronation Street.
Last time I was watching television, I think Brookside was still going.
No, I don't know what's going on at all. I mean, I'm
you're not missing
completely out of the world. I mean, as I said, it's like I thought Bill Gates was Pfizer. I thought that was his name. I mean,
right.
Somebody was saying about
Bill Gates.
Yeah, somebody was saying about Charles. Is it Charles, our new king? I didn't. Somebody was saying Charles.
So you're totally oblivious to most things.
Anything.
So you're not saluting the kingdom.
Who? So yeah.
So to be fair, your life is like really. It's like when you were back on the drugs. You just got out of it.
The only thing that exists right now is this space right here. Everything else is make believe.
Yeah. No,
because what's behind me doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because they've done it with the 2-split. Have you seen the 2-split experiment?
I'm not sure if I've seen that.
The way have a look into it. I'll find some information. Send you a 2-split experiment. They said about basically whatever's there is in your vision, and nothing else exists until you look at it.
Yeah, well, that goes back to like 1930s and everything with the Einstein's theory and another German. There's a couple of things. There's the curtain theory, where basically anything the other side of the curtain is not really there until you open the curtain and go to the other side of it.
Yeah.
So there's like there's like 2 different. You can believe in either, I suppose, because they're both very. You know, so like I think Einstein's was more like when a coin spins, if it lands on heads here, in another dimension, it might have landed, or it would have landed on tails. So it's very interesting. But anyway,
right now, when I leave here, there are so many different things you can do, and that's going to create different life. So from here, when I live here, I might go to the supermarket to go and get stuff, and then go home again. Yeah. But then I might go home and go to the supermarket there.
Yeah.
Whichever path I choose there is going to create a
different, because you might meet
reality. Yeah. Because you're going to be in the same different traffic. Yeah. You're going to meet different people. You might have an amazing conversation, but then again, you might not have that amazing conversation if you chose the other way. But you'll never know.
But that's the film.
Nothing exists until you're doing it.
There's a film called Sliding Doors.
We've actually spoke about recently. Well, I've not seen it.
Yeah, but I don't think I've watched it. But a few people have said, because there is some really good films out there, like Inception and Sliding Doors, and I was watching The Matrix again last night.
That's a documentary, not a film. Just like the ones where they take the pills and stuff, and it makes what they call
not Lucy. Yeah, there's Lucy, and then there's the other one with the fella. Yeah, I know which one.
Once again, no, it's not fella, just people. Yeah.
There's no problem.
Or it could be another gender. I mean, there are 3.5 billion, isn't there? Genders,
yeah. Boy, what are you today?
Well, to be honest, this is important, Roscoe. So if we're talking about someone else who's not here, like Owen in the other room, he's a third pronoun into, so we can call him him. But if we're talking to each other, that's first level pronouns. So we don't actually have to address each other, because you wouldn't say him there.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No. So we don't even. So that's a bit of bullshit, isn't it?
It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah. I'm an alien.
But that's
So I'm there's lockdown. I'm thinking this is ace, because people don't even want me in the garden. So it's like, all right, well, I've got to create something new. So I calm right down. I've slowed right down, and it's ace. So Then I thought, well, I don't need to be in this house anymore. So I started selling everything. And I put on, I think I gave myself something like 80 days or whatever. It's like 80 days I'm going to be living in my Volkswagen Caddy. So if you know the size of a Volkswagen Caddy, it's in the back, it's 6 foot long, and that's about it. And that's what I'm going to live in. So that means you don't need things. And people are, I need a new sofa, I need to do this. And, you need things to be able to live. So I went to two car boots and sold everything that I had. The first one I sold quite a lot, but the second one, it was all my grow gear and everything. Anything that I didn't sell, I just binned. So I basically got my materials down to a very small amount, which was still too much. And then it was, I forget the dates now, it's coming up to 2 years that I've lived in a Volkswagen Caddy.
Right.
So I found different ways of making an income, which we're going to speak about in a bit, and I've done very well out of. Yeah. And I went, I moved into my Caddy, gave my keys back for the house, created a YouTube channel. So I actually got my own YouTube channel with bits, which I'll put on hold at the moment because I'm not doing a lot at the moment. Created a YouTube channel and spent a year, just over a year and a half, travelling around the UK. I spent 9 weeks in Scotland doing the NC 500. I've done many mountains. I've travelled here, there, everywhere. And I've decided that for the next 15, 20, 30, whatever years, I'm just going to travel the world. I'm not going to live the life where you got told you're supposed to live. If not, then you are other people's labels. I'm not going to work because there are basically ways of getting your money to work for you that does a lot better. Because we see that money is a byproduct of an emotion. Yeah. And you can even see it as something, a fear and lack, which a lot of people do. Even you could be a millionaire, but you could still fear and lack. You still could be living in that sort of thing because you always feel like you're not good enough in yourself. When you remove that, it's like, well, I'm going to use money for experience and for change and for basically building an amazing free life. Then even if I've got 20 quid in my pocket or a tenner or 5 grand or 50 grand, I'm still going to have the same emotion because it's a byproduct of an emotion, and I feel abundant with whatever I've got. And with doing that, I've done very, very well for the past nearly 2 years, and it's going to take me all over the world. So myself, and now because my family, because there's 4 of us, I've got a 20-day-old baby at home. So Uma, Celine, so beautiful girl, and me and my family, we're going to go travel the world. We're going to get a motorhome, and we're going to spend the next 15, 20, 30 years traveling the world. And we're going to see every country and just live life.
Good for you.
Because this is the way that you can live now, because we have technology. You don't have to be in the same spot all the time. You have technology, you can do what you want, and there's so many better ways of doing it than we have been lied to. You have to go and you say you're going to go and do a job that somebody's paying you, say £10 an hour. That job's actually worth £18 an hour, and they're paying what you're worth. So you're only worth £10 an hour. And people believe that, So you'll only ever earn until you change your mindset around money. which I'm still improving on. I've got massive amounts of work to do. You will only earn 5 or 10% up or down of what you've been earning for the past 15, 20 years until you create a better mindset.
And Tony Robbins and probably, what was his name, Summit Page?
Peter Sage.
Peter Sage. They probably would have taught you all this kind of stuff. It'd be like if you can learn a lot by an interview by just saying what do you earn, because if you speak with someone and they say I earn 20,000 a year, well that tells you exactly where their mindset is.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Because why do you only value yourself as a £20,000 year person?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You need to value yourself at 100,000 or a million or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Because if you don't change that mindset of your value, you can never earn and bring that energy.
It's just energy at the end of the day, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? So, and this is a restriction people have to learn. But these are the kind of teachings we're bringing to the platform all the time. When people are listening to shows like this, sooner or later they're going to say, hold on, all these people are doing the same thing and saying the same thing. There must be something in it.
Well, exactly,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, because everything that we've been taught is a lie.
Yeah. Everything.
You mean?
We never said that.
Everything. Everything. You mean? It's like everything, because we all have something called the amygdala in our brains. It's the first thing that fires up unless you train your mind to not look for the fear and look for the bad things, which takes time. So 10,000 years ago, when we'd be getting chased by tigers, or we'd be next to a tree and there'd be a snake coming down, that amygdala is there to say, "Oh fuck, it's a snake," or "Oh fuck, it's a tiger," rather than going, "Oh, so yeah," or right, cool, that's an apple. So that fight or flight mode is basically one of the first things that grew in our brains.
That's the
reptilian mind. The reptilian mind. But then you've got to think of, right, well, that's so, because the easiest way to control somebody is through fear.
Yes.
Somebody who thinks themselves cannot be controlled. So the more you think yourselves and a high vibration, then you will not listen to any bullshit. Yeah. But what they want everybody to be fair and everybody to be scared. And this is what they do it, because fear has basically brought billionaires.
Absolutely.
Yeah, massive amounts of billionaires. And everybody else is going down and getting more skin, and they're saying, it's still all right, bollocks. So with that, when you realise that it's the amygdala, you're attached to that amygdala and it's keeping you in fear and keeping you. When you start looking into the amygdala and going, hang on a minute, I don't need to be scared of doing this. Once upon a time, I'd be shitting myself talking about this now.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I used to be scared of thinking, skydiving, I used to be scared of heights. So I jumped out of a plane and went and did skydiving. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I used to be massively afraid of, standing up for myself. Having my own voice. It's all these things that, what happens if this happens? What happens if somebody thinks about this? It's the amygdala in your mind that is looking for the easy path, because the body doesn't like change. It doesn't want to change. But when you come consciously aware of it, you silence the amygdala through the work that you do for yourself, then you can go, right, well, hang on a minute, there are no wrongs.
So the challenge in life really ultimately is yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
The thing is,
you need to get out your own fucking way. Yeah,
what you're talking about there as well, there's a really close connection with like anxiety and phobias. Because I've often said this as well. I know there's many ways of learning to deal with phobias and anxiety. But for me, and the way I dealt with it, then the quickest way, if anybody wants to, a quick route out of it, is next time you're having an anxiety attack, just say to yourself, fucking kill me then.
Yeah, go on.
Right? Just fucking kill me. Do your worst. Because as soon as you take control of your brain and of your thinking, it loses all its power.
Exactly.
And that is just another little thing. So then this is funny, because we could be talking with 100 different guests, but every subject and their story, it's all connected.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it all comes down to things like letting go. You have to be the change. All these self-mastery, manifestation, and it all comes back. And like, you can have any world or any life you want once you master these basic fundamental skills, which unfortunately to people just coming in, they're not that basic. The basic to you can look at them as basic now because you've had to go through all that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we've also been on the other side, haven't we?
Yeah,
where our life was.
I need to escape. I don't like that thought of thinking, my mum's passed away, so I'll have a drug to basically make me escape it. Because that reality isn't good. So you do these things, these mind-altering things.
Yeah.
And plus, the way that I say as well is, if you're ever, because I believe that depression is stuck in the past. You are depressed about something that's happened, and you are anxious about something that hasn't happened.
That's right.
So the more present you can be,
Yeah, and also it's not just drugs, because I think obesity and food is the same. You always hear of people like when they're feeling sad, they go to the cupboard and eat something.
Everyone's got a vice, haven't they?
And sugar's worse than cocaine, isn't it? I mean, sugar is terribly. You know what I mean? And then and what it's doing to your body. But that takes us on to another past. We'll go forward and come backwards because we need to go back. But because you're into fasting as well, aren't you?
Yeah. Love it.
And again, so what would your typical day? Because it's becoming a more and more popular subject lately, fasting and or things like the keto diet and all these kind of things. So just give us a little brief.
Right, in intermittent fasting, I will. I've only recently got control of this, so I'll say that I've done intermittent fasting for a long time, but I've not had control of my eating sometimes.
Just explain what does intermittent fasting mean to you?
Intermittent fasting or time control fasting is basically what I'll do is I will stop eating around 2 to 3 hours before I go to bed. Yeah. And then I will let my body, say if I wake up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I won't eat until around 11 o'clock. Yeah. Sometimes it'll be a little bit before, sometimes I'll eat a little bit later, but recently I've given up. Because I've got a 20-day-old daughter now, it's changed. It's helped me bring a better, more of a, what's the word, like a reason in life. Yeah. I always thought that this will never happen for me, sort of thing. But this has brought massive reason. It's helped me grow giant. But, I'm in love with it, sort of thing.
More purpose.
So with that, I used to think, I'm okay to have that bit of sugar. Or I'm okay to have 7 or 8 cups of coffee a day. So I've cut down on a lot of caffeine and I don't have sugar anymore. I just don't go and buy it anymore. So now, for the past 5 or 6 days, I've created, I'd love to talk about this in the future as well, but I can do a little video about it. Yeah. But I did a 7-day full fast at the beginning of the year. And I think I lost about 1.5 stone in 7 days. But because of fasting, it isn't ideal for losing weight because you put the weight back on. And I've learned the proper ways of breaking a fast and everything. But with my intermittent, I'll have my tea time at about sort of like 6, 7 o'clock. And then I'll go to bed about 2 hours after, and then I won't eat until the following day. In the way that I find it best is have your proteins in the morning and your carbohydrates in the afternoon and evening, because then you sleep better, because it's slow acting carbs, your vegetables and stuff, rather than the other way around, because you've got the proteins to build and then your carbohydrates help you sleep. And I've been doing this for 3 or 4 days now, and my focus is massive. But when I did the 7-day fast, because I've done 3, 4, 5 days in the past, I'm not just jumped into this. I've started building a clothing company, which I put halted at the moment because of the changes. But I started building a clothing company, and my focus and my vision has gone tenfold. I mean, I've just realised how long, but I've been so present of being in here because of not eating. But if my body was busy digesting food and I had a big meal before I come here, you wouldn't be able to be so present, because people need the
it makes you feel sluggish.
So when you can think to yourself, right, well, it's my habit going to that cupboard, but really all I need is a drink of water. And I'm holding up to water the people that can't see. But it's like, and then you realise it's hydration that is more important. Your body can go 2-3 weeks without food, but you can't go a couple of days without water.
And I saw something in the last few days that the best food that the body can eat is its own fat. So when the body breaks itself down and starts eating its own fat, it's amazing.
Because I've taken the sugars out and everything, and I can feel it starting going, because I put quite a bit of weight on through drinking. I mean, I stopped 20 days, so it'd be about 27, 28 days since I've had a beer. I've never recently been drinking a lot, but it's 2 or 3 cans of Stella. But then you find a habit of, like, I'll have 2 or 3 cans of Stella on a Friday. I could drink that 4th, but then I've got an excuse to have one on a Saturday, but one isn't good enough, so you go and buy another 4. Right, so you're having 8 cans of Stella over 2 days, and then you're telling yourself that you're not feeling rough, but then you're realising, fucking, no way was I that person. I was making those excuses. Now I'm not going to drink.
You don't even realise that you're feeling a bit rough.
It does not serve me at all. Even a social drink, I'm going to break it down, because I sometimes say to myself, it's okay I won't drink all the time, but it's okay if I have one every now and then. But I was listening to somebody, it's like on November the 11th last year or whatever, just out of the blue, he said, I'm never going to drink it, and he hasn't. And that's what I've said to myself. I am a non-drinker. I do not drink. That's what I did. So now I'm doing the same with processed sugars.
Your body just doesn't need alcohol at all, does it? It's just it doesn't react well to it.
And it lowers vibration anyway, doesn't
it? Yeah. So I used to make it's okay to have that. So
I did what's called a few weeks ago. I'm going to do it again. I did a liver cleanse, didn't I? And it was good. And we've finished the building work here. We're going to bring all the stuff into the kitchens, and we said we're going to start juicing up and making like carrot and cabbage and apple mixes and all that. And we're just going to start doing that ourselves.
We're going to try. We're trying to. This platform is about teaching others how to live the best life possible. Yeah. So we need to start living the best life possible.
Yeah, because the thing is as well, it's not it comes back to energy, and if you want to get your energy in your thinking and manifestations, but then you need that energy in your body. You need your temple or your vessel to be working good. Yeah. And it's no good if it's sluggish and it can't be asked getting out of bed, and
It's interesting what you're saying though, because I made a decision. I started doing Reiki, as you know, because I've given you some Reiki in the past, and I had and it was only a drink. I used to like a drink of Krabbies. I've not been a big drinker since I was probably in my early 20s, mid 20s, and obviously I had pubs, and I didn't really drink much then, apart from the stock that needed drinking. I was never a big drinker, but I remember having this Krabbies, and then I did some Reiki for somebody the following day, and I couldn't. It's almost like I felt like I wasn't connecting properly. Yeah. And I made a very conscious decision that I'm never drinking again, and I've never had a drop. And then I started looking into fasting as well, and I started... Now, I'm not a big guy. I've never been a big guy, but I had, from drinking, boobs and a belly.
That's not what the women say.
But then I started doing this intermittent fasting. So I started... So not eating from 7 o'clock at night until midday the following day, and just having one cup of coffee in the morning, which I think take a lead either as well, and I'm drinking water, and I lost weight. Now I'm a small guy, but my family were like, because I was stressed last year and I had a lot going on. Yeah. So, you're looking ill, but I wasn't. I actually felt great, and I feel better. I've removed the excess little bit of weight that came from, I used to call it a Stella belly. I used to rest my pint of Stella on my belly. It's all gone now. And that's it. Well,
once again, they're saying you're looking ill because they're looking at it from their point of view about how they believe that you should look. Once again, it's just somebody else's opinion. It doesn't count. It's what you think of yourself.
I agree with that.
And if I'm not feeling great, thank you.
I look at myself and my opinion is I'm a fat bastard.
I'm actually going to do a 4-day fast on, I was going to do Saturday the 1st of April, but I think it's going to be the Monday the 3rd. I'm going to do a 4-day fast from Monday to the Thursday. So if you want to join me on that fast, feel welcome, then you can record it. So it's up to you, so you can record it. And
I've never done more than 1 day, so that would be a challenge.
Even if you do...
I could do with doing it, I've got to be honest, but...
even if you do 72 hours or a shorter one, do 2 days and I can take you through it.
Yeah. So because I need to kickstart and really
we could document that, couldn't we, as well?
Document and do. Because I keep yo-yoing like this year. Like I was doing all right. Then I went and fell back off the wagon. Then I had Adam White come on and give me a kick up the arse, and I was doing all right for a couple of weeks. I lost about a stone. Yeah. And then the last few weeks, where I've been working here and a bit stressed,
you get comfort eating then, though.
Yeah, because what I do is I sort of completely go cold turkey. I'll have no crisps, no biscuits. I cut out the carbs. I was doing really well. Yeah. And then something will happen where, and do you know what? It might even be like peer pressure. Like the missus might say, "Oh, we're having a curry and a drink tonight," or something like that. So you think, well, go on then, because I don't want to, ruin the night. If you like, we'll have a curry and a beer or a pack of crisps and watch a film. And then before you know it, the next day you're having another pack of crisps and you're like, "Fucking, I enjoyed that biscuit."
Added distractions and challenges to your day to go back to. It's tough, isn't it?
I'm one of them. I'd rather go complete cold turkey rather than moderation. But I think the trouble is with that, sometimes when you fall off the wagon, you go back to you eat everything you can put your hands on.
Yeah, and then you're focusing on what you don't want. I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that. Your mind doesn't reason.
I do that.
I will eat that. I will eat that because it just doesn't reason. Your mind
I'll go home and I'll be like kneeling down in the crisp cupboard, looking at the crisps while I'm eating them, thinking I shouldn't be eating these.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll have one more packet just to confirm what I shouldn't be doing.
And I do love beef Space Raiders.
Yeah. So it's like if you're telling a child, say to a child, don't drop the plate, they're going to drop the plate because their mind doesn't reason. But if you say hold to that plate really well, they will hold on to the plate. Same with adults, the way that we speak to ourselves.
It's my biggest addiction as well, that's the toughest is food.
Yeah, so the way that I've found it is I used to drink 8, 10, 15 cups of coffee a day sometimes. I had a real problem with it.
Yeah.
So rather than saying I can't drink coffee and going cold turkey because then that doesn't suit me, I like having a coffee. Instead of buying instant, I bought the stuff that you have to do in the cafetiere. Now, that is a chore to make a coffee because it's not just instant.
Yeah.
And it's instant gratification. You're looking for that high.
That's right.
It's only 4 or 5 days. So now I've basically cut down from having 7, 8. I'd have 3 in the morning before anybody else has woken up.
Yeah.
Now I'm having 3 a day.
Yeah.
Because I'm leaving the cafetiere dirty, and then rather than my habit saying I want to have a coffee, I go no, because I'm consciously aware of what I'm having. Yeah, because then it's like, well, no, I don't need it. Because I'm sat here and focusing on everything and doing really well, sort of thing. But I want a coffee, just have the coffee, but I'll just drink water instead.
Yeah.
So then it's like, because then you know that you're going into your program, your subconscious programming of this is the time of day that I should be having a coffee. But then you realise that I don't really need that. But then if you can reward yourself in 2 hours' time for saying no to it 400 times, then you go, right, I'm having this because I deserve it for myself.
Yeah.
And then you'll be having coffee in a different way, in a different sense.
Different
Same with a biscuit. On the cold turkey thing, right, well, I know they're there, but right now, because it's habit of me doing that, then because your body is looking for those chemicals, it's the habits, it's your body's in control. But if you can turn around and say, I'm going to be consciously aware of that, so I will reward you with a biscuit, but when I choose to in 3 hours' time. Because then it's not a habit, you are in control of it, and that's how you break habits.
Very good. I like that. So let's go back to you was so you living in the camper van, but also as well you said there's wife and a kid now.
Girlfriend and
a kid and what's called. So you needed a way to earn money. So, we got to the point where you told your old man with £7.50 to bugger off.
Yeah, so I was
like... So then what did you do after that?
So I was claiming universal credit, but once again, anybody can listen to this.
When you're a single man.
You don't get very much. So I was just like, right, well, I knew my grow was going to be down in about 3 or 4 weeks. So I used that universal credit money to put into crypto and blockchain because I got introduced by Alan Clenhans. Very trusting person.
The same fella from the Tony thing, he's into that?
Yeah, he's into it. And anything that I speak about now, he introduced because this is why it's so trusting. He's an internationally known speaker. And if anything that he says, I look into it and then I do it because of I've done very well out of it, sort of thing. Yeah. So with it, I've put some loose change into that. And then the best way once again, getting myself out of the way, I learned how to network market. I used to never have any belief in myself because I didn't understand it. Now I have a massive, great understanding of what can be because of the space it's opening up for us. Yeah. So I started to share it and people started to listen because they were seeing me live a life. So I put £270 in it to open an account and then I've shared it. And because of the way that it does it, it pays you very well when you share it. So I turned that into £1,000 a week wage. Between £1,100 and like £1,400 a week I was taking out of it. And that allowed me to travel.
In what period of time? How long did it take?
Over a year. Well, it took me quite a small time because I was sharing it with everybody because I believed in it. And
you was making revenue like by other people.
When I was in the house, I was basically what I was doing. You'd share it. You wouldn't make any money off anybody else, but you would make money off referring. Yeah. It's like with anything. If you're in Booking.com or if you're in certain banks or whatever, they pay you for referring because they want the custom because they realise that there's power in community. That's right, and everything, Facebook's a community, but they, you don't pay them; they just pay you to shoot your data, which we'll get onto. So with it, I started sharing it, and as I add people, all I do is get my rewards back quicker. So say if I was getting 1.5 HU a day to start with, in the end, I was getting 800 a day, 1,000 a day.
So this was hyperverse at the time.
So
this is how I ended up meeting yourself, wasn't it? Because JB used to go to school with my Mrs. Lou. Yeah. So JB got in touch during lockdown and came to the pub and introduced. So we had a community obviously growing there, and you got very much involved in the people that were at the pub, and that's where it kind of.
A lot of people listen, but once again, a lot of people didn't get out of their own way, and they basically decided to walk off and leave it. So in the end, did very well out of that, and I'm still doing very well out of it because of the way it is. This is the first of its kind to really open up. But since then, I've been introduced to other things that I like it.
Yeah.
And people see crypto, they think Bitcoin. So it's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
You have over probably nearly 3,000 coins now. So you've got about 3,000 coins, and then you've got the blockchains that they're built on. So you have to be in a blockchain to be able to create your coin. But if anybody with a sense of computers now, and they know, they can build a coin, but a lot of them are pump and dump. Let me go back a little bit. So with the Hyperverse, it was HU. So you used to be able to basically get your HUs, turn them into a token called MOF, which was the company's token. Go and change it, put it onto a prepaid credit card, and go and spend it.
Yeah, it would create it to a USD, so it's a US dollar tether, which is a stable coin.
USDT, which is a stable coin. Then change it for GBP. Go and take the cash out and go and spend it. And I was taking £1,100 to £1,400 a week out, and I was travelling the UK with just these numbers that are building up on a screen.
Yeah,
and then taking out with cash.
This is like probably double the average income of a person, but without doing any work.
This is where I was mentioning earlier on where when I lost the pub and I was going through a difficult period. I lost my job, or I left the job because I was full of anxiety and I was living in fear and lacking everything else. And I had a little inspiration come into my mind, and I said to Lou, "Will you contact JB for me?" And I was not in a position where I could actually phone JB because I was full of shame. So anyway, my Mrs. Lou, she phones JB and said, "Look, we know you've done really well on this crypto. Is there a quick route into this?" And as the universe works, and there was a great blessing, and we don't need to go full into the detail, but JB's brother had invested a lot into this as well, but he had accounts taken off him for the way those accounts were created. He had to give those accounts to other people because there has to be an identification process to take. So JB's brother gave me and Lou 2 accounts with considerable money on them. Now, that gave us, for a few months until the Bitcoin dropped massively at that point, gave me and Lou income. It was free money. We had free money for I don't know, it was a good few months where we were.
So you never touched the initial pot? You just took out the profit.
So you have your pending rewards, and then it comes out daily rewards, a certain amount each day. So mine were about 400 or 500 HU, which is equivalent to $1 a day. So then I would then put it through the system and then take out on a crypto credit card. My brother put a lot in, but my brother did it in a way of he opened a lot of accounts for himself, which was really not the way to do it. I opened an account for myself, and then I shared it with everybody. And then from that sharing, it created
So I've seen the power of that. I've firsthand seen the power of that.
It's all opening up again as well, but that's a different story.
Yeah, well, it's all opening up in this other way. How difficult is it to follow or get involved, or do you just put your money in and just...
Very easy, because I'm in different things now because of the way that blockchain and Web 3.0. So it's gone in stages. Web 1.0 was when your Yahoos and your the dot-com boom and everything, where it was all growing. And I in 2002 opened my first email. That was when it was basic. But then you had your Googles and your Facebooks coming along, and then your MySpaces and your Yahoos got bought out by the bigger companies. And then it went on, and now you've got your Amazons. You basically people making billions.
Evolution now.
Yeah, how it is. But now we've got Web 3.0. So Hyperverse, which is what we were talking about then, that was part of Web 2.0, which is on the blockchain. But there were still faults. There were still faults in it, and then those faults got found out. People took advantage of the system, and it had to close up for a time being while they ironed out the people who were taking advantage. Because people opened thousands of accounts with a bot,
and raking money.
And then they were taking millions out. Right. And they had to shut down because of the liquidity disappeared. But then people saw it's a scam, it's this, that, but it's still going. I stayed switched on, and now everybody's going to start getting all the money, and it's going to get going again under different liquidity pots.
I'm missing a bit, I'm a bit thick really. But so how does it make more money? Like,
because of how does it's basically it's infrastructures of
is it like stocks and shares but digital?
Yeah, but that sort of thing. But a way it is though. Say Sam Lee, who runs the Hypertech group, which is Hyperverse, he knows a lot of the biggest, wealthiest companies, the Fortune 500s or the Forbes 500 or whatever you call it. So the way that they earn money is basically getting into their advertisements. So everybody has a massive advertisement budget. They've got billions.
Yeah.
They get the money from that. And because of Bitcoin started at 0.00001 cent, and then it went to 69 grand, because it's, once again, it's a value. Crypto is a value. It just depends how much you see of it. It's a big comment on there. These companies have hundreds of thousands of these tokens, so which are worth, and they do it because they watch all the charts and everything. They create out of that, and then they found a way of basically getting a massive pool of liquidity, getting community, because in the end it's community that builds it, and they've realised that they want massive communities in these crypto spaces or these blockchain spaces to be able to make them work. So with this, it created a massive community, so people are getting people to join, it's going in there, but you're getting a lot out, and they promised 3x. So whatever happens, you would put it in, it would go to work like with anything, and you would get 3x out. And that's the first one that I did, and that's the way that was working. And I put £270 in and took about 25 to 28 grand out over the year of travelling. Yeah, it's probably less than a year.
That's a good year's salary.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
While you're living the life of your dreams.
It could have been more, because it was towards the end where I was taking a lot out, but because I did a lot from sharing. But there were people took in, so they had to shut it down. They haven't. I can still get onto it and everything, so people will still get it, because it's Sam Lee, who is the CEO of the Hypertech Group. He wants to have a good name, and he's opened other things as well. And this is the space where you can't earn money for sitting around doing nothing anymore, but you can earn very, very well if you were to share it as well.
All right, okay.
So then the new things that I found in new spaces is ecosystems that need communities for them to work and grow. And now I found one called Ultron, which I got at a cent. I got the token at a cent, and this is going to hit high dollars over the time because of the ecosystem they're doing. Yeah. It's like they're doing they're starting to bring out a daily lotto where you can win $1 million a day, and you can get it's all going to be with the same token. So it's going to be basically you win $1 million a day, and they're doing NFTs. They're going to do a football metaverse. It's all people see it as cash is king, which I still believe massively cash is king, but the space that you get cash out of is broken. The banks are a massive Ponzi scheme. You put £1 into the bank, they put it to work. If they make profit off their pound, they take it. But if they don't lose profit and you lose one of that pound, you pay more tax.
That's right.
That's the way that the banking system works. Yeah. So you're being screwed over. I'm away from the banking system. I'm into this because it's all recorded. It's blockchain. It's on a blockchain. Every time a transaction is made, it's made a block and it cannot be changed. There's nobody's going, all right, well, it's going to drop. I'll print some more money off. All that's going out of the way. So the way that I see it is, rather than the centralised system, which people have got their money in, which could collapse at any point, I don't think cash is going to go anywhere because it's still so massively used. It's going to be 20 years. It's going to be a long, long time, but there's a decentralised space where there's one person controlling it, and they see everything that you do and they make loads of money off it. And then there's a decentralised space, which is blockchain, which is crypto as everybody sees it. But I see it as bigger than crypto. I see it as blockchain. And these blockchain, which are creating communities, are going to basically create a massive income for people who see it. And there's so many easy ways that you can get into it. Yeah. And for very little.
So you jumped in on this Maybe Ultron early. Was that inspired by somebody, or did you just come across it?
It was Alan Clemens who put me forward to this. And because I did so well off the first thing, and a lot of people did well off it, this is even better because with Hyperverse, you didn't have to do KYC, which is know your customer. With this, you have to know your customer. So you can only open the one account. But with it, you can open as many hubs as you want with the one account. So with it, should I show on here?
Yeah, sure. Well, can I just want to go there? So, like, just off this one, because I've got, my head's ticking over here. So I'm thinking, like, for all our listeners, all the people of the Drake Michigan community, and so if they come along, and everybody's at different stages of their life, aren't they? We might have, let's say we've got, I don't know, a single dad or a single mom, money's really tight, they're doing the best, blah, blah, blah. Is there a way where we could sort of set something up where we could say, listen, in for a penny, in for a pound, but if you follow us, or follow this guidance, we reckon we could turn you over a bit of cash here. You know, we could earn you a bit of money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, and then like we're all in it together then kind of thing. Like I'll do it as well.
Yeah.
You know, I'll put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah.
You know, I'll put a pound in. But what I'm thinking is, it's like, is this something where we could say, because we do personal, professional and spiritual. Is this like a professional side where we could say to people, listen, you know, you want some help, you want some guidance, you know, you need to change yourself, but also look what we're offering now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
This is basically getting your money into a decentralized space that pays very well, because the banks could pay 90% interest if they wanted all your money, because there's that much money to go around, but they don't, because it's greed.
There's more money in the world than people realise.
It's greed. Everybody can be a millionaire. There is no poverty. That I can still see. You still see the same adverts for getting water in countries that you saw in 1982.
Yeah, that's
they don't want it. They want people to fear. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the word economy is lack, isn't it?
Yeah,
so as long as there's people in lack, you can have an economy.
100%. Yeah. And people
so
believe that.
What I'm thinking is, though, but the Drake Michigan community. Well, why don't we have everyone in the community making money?
But with this is a long-term vision. So this isn't anything short-term, this is long-term. And if you can remove the instant gratification and look at long-term, you will do very, very well in this space, because there's still only 4% of the world that have a clue about crypto that are in it. So that's 96% of people, over 8.2 billion people, that have no clue because they're being lied to.
And the governments don't want people in crypto.
People don't want them in at all there. No, they don't want to near it, because I've been my own bank for over 2.5 years now. I don't use banks anymore. I don't need to. The only reason I'll ever use it if I need to put cash into the high street.
Yeah.
So, but I've no reason to do that. So I've got the prepaid credit cards where you're earning your money, and then you put it on, you go and spend it.
What would you say is like, what's a reasonable amount for someone to start off?
You can start off in this for as little as $100, which is about 90 quid. You need to be clued up how to basically change it to USDT, but I can train that. I even do it for people.
We could do. I think we talked about it earlier on. So we could create some demonstration and guidance videos, couldn't we, to help people get started?
Well, it's all there basically. If you
I'm thinking as well, we could do a few things here, because like we could. I don't know, we could do a little competition or something and give 3 people, I don't know, 100 quid each, and put it in it for
100. Yeah, that's what
you know what I mean.
So all they need to do is basically open the account, and you can do that and put it in. I can show you the way of doing it. I do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if we've got that thing to guide people through it. So if anyone's got that sort of, they're prepared to invest 100 quid, but looking at it as a long term thing, you know what I mean? Because the Drake Michigan project is a long term thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, eventually, like I said, we want our listeners to grow with us and eventually become representatives of Drake Michigan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is the level that we want.
Yeah.
But what better way is if people threw 100 quid in, followed the advice, and it's don't forget, it's not us with their 100 quid, it's their account. They could set it up and everything. It's not as if we want the money. No. But what they could do is then they could sort of follow us.
Yeah.
And follow because what we could do is we could show every couple of weeks how our money's doing, and they could follow their own money and see how they're doing, couldn't they? Because there's a bit of excitement in that, isn't there?
There is, yeah. I think that's a really good idea, Kev.
Yeah.
So we could do that. We can, over a period of a few weeks, if you want, we can create some videos and some a page on the website that will help people.
Well, that's the thing is, and I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again for the listeners, because like the way that Drake Michigan is going as well, on top of the absolutely amazing stuff what we already do, because we've got the podcast, we've got the mag stature stuff, and we've got the meditation stuff. But because what we're doing is we're going to bring Avi in, who's going to bring in a yoga and all the teaching. So we're going to offer people so they can watch that. We've got Julianne with the breath work, so people are going to be able to watch the modules and the videos of how to do the breath work. We've got Andy Barlow, who's bringing you in all the legal advice and everything like that. Now if we can bring in some financial, put some money in and make some money kind of thing, the platform's really it's starting to grow a motor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas, and now you really are working with people personally, professionally, and spiritually, because it is a package.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I think we could be onto something there.
And good thing about this space as well. So when you go onto Facebook, they don't want your money because they've already got all the money. What they want is your details and your information, your data. And that's what they do. So what they'll do is say if you go, right, well, hang on a minute, I went to this hotel and it was beautiful and you put a post out there. What Facebook is do is basically loan that information to Booking.com or whatever, to whoever, and then they get paid for it.
Yeah, of course they do.
Between Mavi and Ultron, which I'm part of and I'm massive, I've been with July. I've already done well out of it, but it's the information I'm learning. With what they're doing a financial social system.
Yeah.
So basically, what happens is, I don't know the ins and outs of it because it's all very new. They've just been rebranded. It's going to be called Reshape. So it's going to be a social media platform where you can earn because you keep all your data. So this is all they want out there. They just want your data because they make money on it, and they're multi-billionaires. Everything is about data. So with this, you're keeping your data. So what you do is, if you were to go to a coffee shop and say, this is amazing coffee, I've just had this, you then share it and you get paid for it. Instead of Facebook,
because these companies are multi.
And then it's your choice. It's your choice if you give. So you are taking
that's
your
a way
power
of freedom
back.
there, because Facebook's way is control.
Yeah,
because ultimately, from my understanding, it's CIA created data harvesting platform anyway. So it's all about control. So if that's the way a technology is going, because technology can work like anything, can be good and bad, light and dark. So if that's light side of stuff, ultimately that creates freedom.
I wonder if that's why Elon Musk was happy to pay $43 billion for Twitter. Because, but the thing is, he'll have ideas, and he'll have people around him who say, "Listen, data harvesting, and and basically there'll be ways of making massive amounts of money."
Because you've got to think, haven't you? You can join something for free. But then all this is data platforms. Everything's data is about what basically they know that. You mean if we're talking else sort of thing, whatever we speak about, we'll be getting adverts on our phones because that has created data to then give to these companies where they're going to pay.
That's why everyone's
and
on
then
Google
they make their money.
And
this is
because ultimately, like when you break it down, I don't know. Let's say you made 2 pence for a certain data, like a coffee.
Yeah.
But the amount of people who are going out there buying a coffee.
Exactly. So when you can do that, and this is just one side of it. This is one side of the amazing platform that it is, because there's so much more about it. But it's the case, if I could talk about massive amounts of it now, and I could explain, but people would be like, oh, and they get overwhelmed. And they just.
But I think we build a whole channel. For
I could do that, and I could do little videos on my phone, record, and say, this is the process of how you set up Binance, or set up Binance, and this is what you do to buy USDT. I could do the process of, if you are to join, get this link and join from here. I could do the process of, this is how you look for it on CoinMarketCap. This is how you do it on this. So, and then plus once again, there's all this information already out there, which I could share it anyway because I know what to look for. So you could do a whole thing of where it's got all the information there, what to do.
I know,
building on that.
Sorry to interrupt you, JB, because a bit like with Andy Barlow's stuff, what a lot of people, it comes down to effort. A lot of people just want to go, here's £100.
No, So say if you had $100, so about 90 quid. You could buy a staking hub for $100, and because of it's worth 8 cents at the moment, you would get about 1,100 tokens. So at the moment, it's worth 8 cents. Just got to think that over the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they're creating a massive ecosystem inside Ultron. That you're buying the ULX token, and they're growing and growing and growing. So with that, they're going to build an ecosystem where it's a lotto day. They're building it so it's a football metaverse. You can actually put your screen on, sell players, create your own players, and get paid for doing that. They're doing that. It's massive. The metaverse is going to be massive. We're in a metaverse anyway, sort of thing. So it's just a reality away from reality. They're doing an NFT platform, which is non-fungible tokens. This property could be an NFT.
Yeah.
And it can't be reproduced. You have one of a kind. You can only have one of a kind NFTs. Stuff like that. There's going to be massive ecosystem in it. There's going to be lending and borrowing. There's going to be a launchpad platform where if you were to open a business, like I've got my own ideas for the t-shirt business, the clothing range, with that you can actually open a business on the blockchain, because then it can't be done by the banks, basically, because anything. So it's all going to be, and they're doing all this under an ecosystem.
Do you think this is?
So with it, so say so for the next 5 years, you open a staking hub for $100. You're going to earn 0.2% of tokens every day for the first year. Then it's going to halve every year. So in the time of, say, if you were to open one today, and then I don't even know what month we're in. Is it? We're still in March, right? Yeah. So March the 25th. So today, 5 years from today, if you were to open an account today in 5 years, you would have 336x your tokens. So say if you got 1,000, you bought 1,000 tokens, in 5 years you would have 3,336 or 3,360. But because it's worth 8 cents at the moment, in 5 years' time, that token will be worth a lot more. So I've got the graphs where it's just basically slowly growing, and this is going to hit high dollars.
Yeah.
So if you've got 3,300 tokens that you could take out at $20 each, you've got 60 grand. So you could turn $100 now into 60 grand. Me personally, I personally put $100 in when it was 1 cent, so I got 6,000 tokens because it was the startup period. Yeah. I've turned those 6,000 tokens into, at the moment, growing every day, 150 a day, over 81,000 tokens. Those 81,000 tokens are going to be in 5 years' time, or 4 years in July. These tokens are going to be nearer 200,000. If it's $20, I've got 4 million. So you have the process. If you were to share it and tell people, you've got the process of making a small amount, which is, it's not the company that's producing this money. It's because it goes on to, you take the tokens out and put them onto the, like in stocks and shares where you're sharing it, then somebody else buys the tokens at that profit. So the company isn't providing it, they're just providing the work to drive the token up, and then the other person will pay for it. So when, in 5 years' time, I've got the option of taking all those out, I could take some and bits out as I go, which I do because I know other ways to invest it. But at that time, you can walk away with my 200,000 tokens, and I could think, right, well, I've got all these, I'm going to cash them all in for it for $20, $30, $40. It might, even if it stays the same, you're 336x in the amount of tokens you've got.
Yeah.
So if it was to stay at 10 cents all the way through, you've still got 3.5 times the amount of tokens, so whatever you're making money, for as little as £90, which if you've got £90 in your account, you can get 90 quid worth of stuff now, but next year that same £90 will only buy you 84 quid worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Because of your money is depreciating, but in here it's growing.
Okay,
so even, but you can put anything up to 30 grand in, you can put 100 grand, you can put as much or as little as you want, whatever you can think, right, well, I've got this sat here, get it in because it's going to make you money over time. And because it's on the blockchain, it can't go anywhere, because you've got Mavi, who is the network marketing side of it, which are creating Reshape, which are going to build this platform of where you keep all your information. And then you've got Ultron, which is creating the metaverse, it's creating the token. It's the fastest layer 1 blockchain to ever be produced. I mean, Ethereum, if you were to buy Ethereum in 2015, you could have got it for 30 cents a token. And with Ethereum, you're made at least 2 years before you can take any out. But a lot of people after the 2 years, they sold it at $10 or whatever.
But then it
hit 4,800. So if you would have put 10 grand, you would have walked away with 80 million. Because people would have bought the token at the 4 grand. Because the government tried to crash crypto, this is why we've seen this massive crash recently. Bitcoin went from 69 grand out of 16.
That's right. Yeah.
Now it's gone back up to 27, 28.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I bought at 16. I lived on the money for a bit. And then because I know the ways of creating, but with this, if you can look past tomorrow and think 5 years time and say, what can I do now? I can just leave it. All you do is put it in. But then if you want to learn information, because it's very good to learn, then there's people like me who sit there for days. I mean, to earn the original money that I did from Hyperverse, I went on training every single day for 3 months. I knew nothing about crypto. Now, I don't know. It's like if you've got a mobile phone, you don't think, how does it work? You can phone somebody and just put it to your ear. People say, how does it work? I don't know the ins and outs of how it works. This is what the technical people do. But I understand that community and ecosystem, these ecosystems and these communities, Mavi has 200,000 people on the books now that have joined, have opened up accounts on there. They want to get to 100 million. You've got to think of how much growth they're going to go and how much this is going to drive the price of the ULX token up, which is going to drive money into it. And in the end, the crypto space is going to be worth over 40 trillion in the next 5 to 10 years. At the moment, it's worth just under $1 trillion. Just think of how it's going to grow because people are waking up.
This is what I was going to ask. So is this what's going to sort of fast track the collapse of the banks and that, do you think?
Well, yeah, because I don't, because money's coming out of the bank.
So that's what I'm saying. And people by nature have lost faith. And as people wake up, you realise the banks are the reason what's wrong with the world.
Right, but the banks put your money into hedge funds, which are your pensions, right? So one of the hedge funds is a massive Chinese company. It's like there's a massive Chinese property company that bring in 97% of the money into China that's to do with property. That went default in December, just gone, and that's something like 40 billion in debt. So that's your money that is sat in banks that go into that. But if they're in debt, you haven't got it.
That's why the world's turning to shit because of that.
Because they're printing more money off. So this is why I'm saying it's a Ponzi scheme. When it's going bad, it's like the crash in 2008. This is all going to happen again, but I'm bothered about the banks because I've got my money in private things that are there, that are consciously aware people that see the shit going on.
It's interesting, like, because as well, just it could be connected or overlap, but like, because they do say when the banks collapse and basically the world collapses, if you like, and as we enter, you know, Pluto in Aquarius and the New Age and all this kind of stuff, but they reckon the future will be about communities coming together. And it's interesting how you talk about community money, community, everything's community.
This is drawing. Yeah, this is amazing, and it has to be belief.
There's something else. I'll bring it up because I know all the people who are watching this and listening to this will be in their heads and be going, right, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a fear to the fact that in talking about the New Age, the New Age is also technological, and we're talking transhumanism time, and this is moving. Very much with an agenda. Anyone who's got their eyes open will see what they're trying to achieve. And then you start talking about metaverse. Now, Facebook are creating their own metaverse, and in a way, what they want with smart cities and everything else is people stuck in high-rise flats with a set of goggles on in their metaverse and living their virtual world rather than actually being out in nature and being a human being. Yeah. And a spiritual being. So what's your opinion on that? Because obviously, you know, in terms of technology, I'm at the belief that it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. Yeah. So, and I'm, as a person who is trying to progress spiritually, I want to be very much involved with nature because I love nature, I love God, I love the way our realm is and everything else. I don't want to be sat with goggles on. I want to be out. And I know you're that person because I know that you spend 100%. All your time in Scotland and in the woods. But what's your feelings? Because I know people are going to be asking that.
My feeling is it's every 10 people, probably 4 people are going to be happy sitting there in a flat with goggles on. I'm in the one of the 8, 9 or 10 that believes in it massively because it's going to create an income out of it. Okay. So with it, what I'm going to do, I'm not interested in sitting there playing football with a mask on or whatever, but I'm interested in learning how to make the money out of it when it's original, because I don't want money for greed. I want money for experience. And when I've got that experience, what's left I don't need, so I'm going to give it away. Yeah. And that's what's going to create more. You know, this one I'm going to travel. I'm going to spend the next 15, which I didn't really go into because my ambition is to basically spend the next 15, 20, 30 years with my 20-day-old now and with the family, traveling the world and seeing the world and taking my story and taking my experiences to the other people, because it's unfair if I sit back and share it. But if I can sit back and go, right, well, hang on a minute, they're bringing a football metaverse out where I can train players. I can buy stadiums and build the stadiums. I can buy the land. I can train players to be the best players. So if I can train the best goalkeeper, best defender, best midfielder and best striker, then somebody wants to sit there because they love the fact they don't want to be. Why would I want to be out in nature? Why would I want to go and talk to trees, you weirdo? Why was that when I can watch TV and eat cake and play games? So for that person that wants to do that, no problem. That's none of my business what you want to do. But my business is I'm going to have the best player that you can rent off me. So I will charge you 500 ULX tokens to be able to do that, because it's all going to be under ULX, which is the token of Ultron. So with that, they're going to pay me, which everybody has this opportunity because it hasn't even started yet. You can pay me for renting my player off me and renting the stadium and rent the land, or I'm going to buy this land. I'm just going to buy the land and train a player.
You're just seeing
then you can build on my land, and I will basically take some of your profits all the time. I'm just seeing opportunity.
You're seeing opportunity, and everyone has their own individual free will and choice of which way they want to go.
But you know what, when you look at the evolution of it all, I mean, it's already full in play, isn't it? Because kids are, for years now, have been glued to playing the PlayStations and blah blah blah. And then obviously getting fatter and obesity and not going out in nature more. So this way, there's lots of people who will straight away be happy for that. But then there's not enough jobs. In 10 years, 15 years from now, there's less and less work available.
It's going to be more skilled work.
So now, what better way to create a virtual job, right? A virtual job where you get paid, right? So now people are at home getting paid for a non-existent job, which, to be fair, is not like nothing too similar to the 80s with the stock market and everything. Yeah. Basically, people buying and making money on something what doesn't exist. It's just numbers on a screen.
Yeah.
Now you've got people with these goggles on who eventually don't take the goggles off, who then your brain does not know the difference from the real world and the game you're in. Which ultimately, and there is a theory out there that we literally could be sat in a chair now with these goggles on in another world.
Yeah.
This is an avatar.
This is an avatar. We're actually making our own. We're living the game.
Yeah.
Right. So these are all theories that are out there. But even if we're the first of the simulation, if you like, let's say we're the creators of the simulation. You could see where the pattern of how it's all leading. You know, the advance in AI, people sat at home working, 15-minute cities, keeping everyone controlled, stay and do your job. We'll bring your food to your house. We'll bring all your supplies to you.
Which starts from Tesco.
Which has already started, isn't it? Amazon drones, we'll bring everything to you. You don't need to leave.
You own nothing and you'll be happy.
Because the thing is, and exactly, you don't need to own anything. All you need to do is sit there with your goggles on all your life. Right, and then what happens is your body doesn't need to, you know what I mean? Your body turns to jelly.
You've watched WALL-E, haven't you? Where they turn into they just sat there, aren't they? And they're sliding off the thing because they can't move the muscles.
And at one point, people would have thought that was just a funny.
But now what you've got to think of is people are still going to believe that that's the right way to be because they don't have to think of themselves.
I think a lot.
So they will do that.
We all know.
But then I love the technology, and I think brilliant sort of thing. I wish I would have known about iPhone in the late 80s.
But still be you.
Because but what I can do is basically do that. And then I can walk away from that after 20 minutes, and then I can go and create the freedom and go and speak to the tens of millions of people that don't want to do that. But I've got something here, a tool, a tool sort of thing that people can create something in what they don't want to be part of. Yeah, you don't have to be part of it, but you can get the spoils from it. You can get the benefits from it just by being part of it, and then go and walk away and have your amazing life. Go and take all the money out there and then go.
Well, I'm a big believer. You've got to play the game. You're not changing the game. But you need to be able to play the game.
Yeah, and the game is changing as well. So there's new rules coming in.
And what gets me as well. So like, if we just go down this theme, so if the powers that be make the big bad world outside your front door a bad place to go, there's too much crime, there's too much war, there's a pandemic, you could catch this, people will happily, I'll just stay in my house. Well, why are you staying in your house? You might as well do some work. You might as well work in the
now you can see where the past 3 years have started.
And then people are getting ill because they're not moving. And let's face it, illness is the most profitable business in the world. They don't want you to be well. The people who are well, they swam off the system completely.
It's just, do you know what I mean?
Come and find me.
You know, I'm all for as well. Like, you know, let's be honest, we're just throwing scenarios out there. We're not saying this is what, but what you can understand how it could easily go that way.
100%.
And for some reason, there does seem to be a thing of, obviously controlling people's massive, but also now it's like forcing people into like
areas.
In areas.
Yeah, you don't want people travelling, do they?
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't know, for whatever reason, they want their countryside back. They don't want anyone to own anything. No. They want all the peasants like in a cage. While they enjoy.
You know what? They can fuck off.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice way of looking at it.
Fuck myself. Like, I don't. This will mean it's like I don't follow anything because I choose how I live my life.
Exactly. That's the way to be.
There are no rules around what I want to do. No, so I'll never harm anybody. I never disturb anybody. I'll just crack on and get it done. It's my life. No, I didn't. As I said, I didn't sign anything when I was born to say I will follow what you tell me to do, because then all you're doing is giving your power to somebody else.
100%.
Sorry, but I keep my own power. Thank you very much, and I will help people go around me to believe that they can do what they want.
Yeah,
and everybody has to do so. And if you can have money sat there in the background, so you don't have to go and work for the person that you don't like, and create more money for different people, you can have this growing for you in the background. If you do this well, you can end up sitting there in 5 years' time going, I can retire. I can, or you just said that word of retirement, I can create that life of excellent. And then if you think, right, well, I've got children, and in 10 years, this is only going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. There you go, son, daughter, you never have to work a day in your life because I listened and did this now. And I believe that you don't have to go and work for somebody else.
And we do live in a world now where money is probably the easiest it's ever been. to earn and create
because we have technology.
It might be a great idea then, JB, to go through some of the figures that you've got in terms of what this maybe Ultron is doing for you, because you put a small investment in there and already you're saying it's growing, but people might want to see how that works, really.
Yeah. Can I just ask before you do that? So I've had this idea before, because we was talking about all your background and your life and growing up.
Yeah.
So for our last guest, we did the intro and then we played the 18 because he was a paratrooper.
Oh yeah.
So now, so I want your permission, because I don't want you to take an offence. Because I was thinking, I reckon we should have Only Fools and Horses and the Cockney on the market stall. What's it? Intro, no income tax, no VAT, no money back, no guarantee. and then at the end, because they find a watch and they make a fortune at the end, don't they? But we could change it, so at the end put some crypto, with all the graphs and the money. Hey, the Wolf of Wall Street.
When you're watching this, you'll have seen if it's worked or not.
Quality. I'm glad.
Oh yeah, right. So I'm going to get into bits so you can look at yourselves. Oops, I've just pressed stop on there. I didn't want to do that. Right. Let's carry on. So what am I doing to get back on?
You want to minimise that window there.
That one there.
Yeah, and then you can get to your tabs then, can't you?
Ah, there you go. Computer literate me, honest. Right, ULX. This is the token, and I want to go on to all. So this is the basic graph on CoinMarketCap, and this is since it came on my CoinMarketCap. It came on. I bought this at a cent, and this came on at. So this was the 24th of the 8th. So after this went live in June last year.
Yeah.
So I think this company has been going 2 years prior.
Yeah.
But then it got on CoinMarketCap after 2 months of launching. So it's been going for about 8 months now.
So that price is 0.03074.
Yes. So yeah, and then before it went, this is when people were buying this is before it went properly live on exchanges.
Yeah.
So it flew up to like 14, just under 14 cents. But then obviously it drops down because people start to sell the token.
Oh yeah.
And then here, so if you were to go from there to there, you've seen solid growth.
Yeah.
From that point to that point. There's been because these are what you call the lows.
Yeah.
And these are the highs. The highs are getting higher and the lows are getting higher.
Yeah.
So with this, it's going to keep going up and up and up. And you got to think that these guys aren't just a coin. This is a blockchain and an ecosystem. So now I'm going to go on to DeFi Llama.
So what's DeFi Llama?
DeFi Llama is where all the blockchains are.
Okay.
So you see on here Ethereum.
Yeah.
Ethereum have over 714 protocols, which are people built on top of their blockchain. The thing with Ethereum is they've got 714 different companies and different coins.
Right.
This is a layer 1 blockchain that has their own native coin. Yeah, so stick that in your head. It's his own native coin. So there aren't going to be any other coins. To get the best out of Ethereum, which is now worth 36 billion.
Right.
So this is the growth from it. There's worth 36 billion. Yeah. To get the best out of that, you need 714 different coins. So just think Ultron, there's 169 tokens on this and on here. I don't want to press on anything in case it goes, but can I just scroll down?
Yeah, so if you do 2 fingers, you can move it like that.
Okay, right. So on here, there's... Let me go down to the bottom. So with this, so say in the dot-com boom, when loads of accounts started to open, you would have had millions of accounts open and different websites open, but it's only the likes of YouTube, Google, which is Google's massive. Google are very clever because they built Google Maps, they built Google Google Email and everything. Yeah. So they built on their own blockchain, for instance, their own company.
So is that what a blockchain means? Like
no, this is blockchain. That is basically a company building on their own thing. So to be on Google, you can have Google email. You can have Google, which is the what do you call it, the site that you go on to the search engine.
Yeah.
They've got Google Maps. They've got probably Google toilet paper. They've got Google
this. Because it started off as a search, and then they built more systems.
So they're the people who. So now you see your YouTube's massive. They would have bought smaller companies
YouTube,
out. They So all that they own. This is going to be the case of in 10 years' time. This is going to be the case of the strongest will survive. Ethereum already made. So you've got to think of here. So as I was saying, there's 100 and... See, there's still one's building. There's 181 blockchains, but a lot of these, look at this, 100% nothing. These just been built for just because people know how to build a blockchain.
Okay.
So this has been going 8 months. And out of 180 odd, these guys are now 13th. So they're 13th out of 180 odd, yeah. And these guys have been going for 8 months.
And they've got 2 protocols.
So they've got 2, which is 2 protocols which are their own, which is Ultron Swap and Ultron Staking. Ultron Staking and Ultron Swap, I'm part of both of them. Okay. I won't go into that now because that's a whole new story.
This is like shares. It's like holding shares in a company. Is that right?
Yeah, this is basically, So when you've got the ULX token, you hold shares in what they've done. There's 50 billion tokens, but they will never come out because of burning mechanisms, separate, etc. Okay. So as they burn the tokens and as they start to basically get sold, they're going to be higher. So eventually there might be only 3 or 4 billion in and then they're going to be more want for it, and that's going to drive the price up. So with this, the protocols here, as that grows, which is going to be what we're saying about the metaverse, the launch pad, which is a launch pad where you can grow your own business on the blockchain. What else was saying? The lotto, which I've said, the metaverse. I think NFTs, they're going to have their own NFT platform. They're going to have lending and borrowing through the crypto space. They're building a use case for, there's going to be gaming and stuff. They're building a use case for the blockchain, for the Ultron token, which is going to drive the price up. So here, as this grows, this is going to be, as this grows, this is going to be all under the ULX token. So with Ethereum, you could have any token from Bitcoin to PancakeSwap to whatever, any token, to create something on the Ethereum chain. With Ultron, you have to have the ULX token. So it's his own native blockchain with its own token, and that's the way it's going to do. So people are going to build on companies are going to come in eventually because it's so fast and build an Ultron to create their better company, which is going to be using their blockchain.
Which then because people are because there's more companies using that technology, then that coin is going to grow because there's more people getting involved.
Yes, and it's massive, and this is creating community. This is creating an ecosystem along with Mavi, who's their partner, who's creating their own. Okay, it's Mavi that creating the community. An Ultron that's creating the technology.
Because it's only been going a year, and it's already 13.
Yeah, it's not even a year yet. It's only 8 months, so it's already 13th out of a profit 181. Solana's been going. Massive, people who know what they're on about will know BSC, which is Binance Smart Chain. They'll know Ethereum because Ethereum's the don out of them all, and a lot of the people that come from Ethereum building Ultron. And then Avalanche is massive. Polygon, Tron is massive. That's TRC20 network. Polygon, they're all basically Solana. These are massive companies. You've got to think that Ultron have only just started getting going 8 months in. Imagine 8 years in, how these are going to be the next Ethereum.
It's above Bitcoin, which is 17.
So they're basically saying that in the next 5 years they want this token to hit $10, and it's at the moment it's growing very slightly. It's 8 cents at the moment. So I've already 800x'd my money, 800x the amount of tokens, the price of them. So that's that. So basically, if it's not on DeFi Llama, then it isn't legit because this is where the blockchains are. So you've got I'll go back to here. So on here, you've got 23,060 crypto tokens built on top of 181 blockchains. So you've got the road, which is the coin. You've got the houses. You've got the cars, which is the token. There's 23,000 cars. Yeah. You've got 181 roads for them to go on. Right. But with Ultron, because they're creating their own road, they're creating their own token. Yeah. They've got the houses and everything to go with it. So they've got their own whole thing, which is the only one of these 181 that have done that.
Well, they're the only ones, and you see there is an opportunity.
It's massive because it's so early.
That's a good way to sort of
there's only two. They want to hit 100 million people. They've got 200,000. So you've got to think of how many.
Isn't it still? If people are thinking, "Oh, I've missed the boat," this is still really early.
No, because you're getting it for 8 cents. You're getting a token for 8 cents.
And you bought that at 1 cent?
I bought it 1 cent. Wow. Yeah, so I got 6,000 tokens originally for my $100. And now you're getting about 1,100. I wouldn't say it's not only you're getting 1,100 that are making money every day because they're growing, which I'm going to get onto that now. So this is a basic.
How did you know to buy it at 1 cent?
Because I got basically shown it was the kickstart of it that I got shown how to use Mavi, and I was introduced to this by Alan
somebody must
Clenans.
know somebody who said, "Look, this is going to be."
These people know the right people. These are like the people above me that I don't know that Alan knows. He's connected.
This guy Alan.
So I've got Alan Clenans, who's Tony Robbins' trainer. I trust him, and I'm in other things, but this is because you can get him for $100.
Yeah.
Which is about 85, 90 quid, depending on who you're using.
Not to lose, is it? Really, in terms of risk.
Yeah, but with this, so what it does is, this is what it's sat on. So that's the basics of the background. The Mavi Global are the network marketing side of it, the bit that I do. I mean, this is what I do to share it. So with Mavi Global, this is all being redone at the moment. There's just been a massive event in Dubai that they did. They had over 900 people there because people are starting to get around this, and there was very important people there. And they've got a thing of they're going to build a platform, which is the Reshape, which is going to be a financial social media platform where you can keep all your data and you can earn money off your own data instead of Facebook earning money off your data, YouTube earning money off your data. This is going to be an all-in-one pack. So imagine Ultron, the fastest laying one blockchain that partnered with Mavi. They create a massive ecosystem out of it all that's going to change the world. And this is all still, you can go and get the money out and go and spend it in cash if you want. So there's all that.
Is that a smart city?
Yes, yeah. I think that's Dubai. But I don't know. But once again, Dubai are grabbing onto this because Dubai basically made all the money in oil. Now they need something else to make onto its technology. So with this, here it's like success runs in the family. Won't go into all this, but this is what Mavi's about. So you've got Mavi Global, but then you've got Mavi, and this is as long as it stays signed in, this is my account. So what you do is, this is Mavi, so you share it, and then these are the hubs. So what you do is, I'll go right down to the bottom. Let's get in with this. So this is the hub that you buy. So I bought on the 15th of July 2022, I bought a hub for $100. So I got 6,000. So because this actually sits for you, so you've got a 5-year hub, yeah? So for the first year, you earn 0.2% a day. So 9% a month on average. And then every year it halves. So next year I'll earn 0.1% a day and then 0.05. So over the 5 years, after the first year, I could happily take 1,830 tokens out if I want. Go out, spend that, no problem, that's mine.
Yeah.
But why would I want to do that if eventually this is going to keep growing? So my earnings they're going to keep growing, and this is going to be 6, 12, 18, about 19,000 just in this hub. So in 4 years' time in July, I'm going to have 19,000 just in that hub that I can take the whole out. And in 5 years' time, if it's worth $10, I've got 190 grand sat there off $100.
So just for simple, simple say, so $100. Now that was a cent.
Yes.
When you bought that.
Yeah.
Now if that token went to a dollar.
Yeah.
So what would you be looking at then? If your $100 became that token became $1 each.
So if it came to $1, then I would have $6,000 there. If you went to $1,
so from your 100, you'd have $6,000.
Yeah. So, but because it's working, because it just this is for passive people. So say if you're in this and you just think, I don't want to learn all that I know because I learn a lot about it. You can sit there and say, right, well, I'm going to buy one of these hubs. I'm going to leave it sat there. And in 5 years' time, or over time, I'm just going to say, how's it doing? Which a lot of people do. I've added 36 people to this now. A lot of people will do. They'll say, how's it doing? We'll just have a look at it. And every day, this will change. My earnings will go up. Because you're earning, because I've got it on auto state locked, I've actually locked it for a year, so it'll be open again. Yeah. But this one, because I take a little bit out, because I know other ways of putting it to work, that's why I've opened auto stake off there. Yeah. But with that, in 5 years' time, that would have 336x. So that'll have 6, 12, 18, about 20,000. So I'm going to have around 20,000 in 5 years. In July 2027, I'll have that, and then basically all those tokens can be taken out. And if it's worth $1, then I've got $12,000 just in that hub. Right. But because I've opened several. I've got that one, and then I've got this one turned auto stake off, and I've got that one turned auto stake off. Just 2 because I can take it out and I can make it other ways.
Yeah.
And then I've got that one on. Got that one on, but I could turn that off if I wanted, but I don't want to. So looking all these, you can actually take percentages out each year.
Right.
So when all this is growing, so in all this adding up, plus for sharing, so say if I earn, because you earn up to 20%,
right,
taking out, so say if somebody joined for 300, I got $60 from it.
Yeah.
I can take out 70% of that, and then 30% goes back into ULX and it sits here. So I've got a nice little nest egg growing there as well.
Right.
So the money that you make from sharing could actually end up being a lot, because if it goes to $1 and I've got 15,000 there, that the money that I can't take out because it's bought into this instead, then I've got an extra 15 grand there.
Yeah.
And that's going up every day because it's still earning.
So people could literally have a little sideline earnings.
You could think to yourself, right, I've got $100 spare a month. I work really well, and in 5 years I want to retire. I want to pay my house off, or I want to think, right, I don't want my kids to have to struggle like I'm doing because I'm going to have to go and work for a living for somebody that I don't want to do. You could think, right, well, I've got $100. I could learn the system of how to open a Binance account, how to change GBP to USDT, to buy a hub into this, and every month you could open a different one, because then you've got in 5 years' time, then every month in 5 years you've got one of these opening. And if the price is just growing, because this is now Web 3.0, this is part of life, this isn't going to go anywhere, this is just going to get bigger. As you can see by the general growth of it on the first thing that I showed you. So with this, so I've got 53,000 base stake. My base stake is including that 15,000 at the bottom. That 53,000 has turned into 81,000. That's growing every 24 hours. That goes up 0.2%. Right. But as you can see, I've got some in my wallet there that I can take out as well. But I won't do, because in fact, that might, if I refresh now, that might go up, because every 24 hours it changes. Did I press refresh then? No. Oh.
Might to push down harder.
Hopefully it doesn't sign out. Good. So you see, so in the past 24 hours, I've earned, so I've had a little bit taken out of there, because when you turn auto stake off, you don't get as much, because they want to keep it in to make the token grow. So with that, now I've got 81,400 sat there. So that's just gone up about 160. So every day that's going to go up 160, but because I've got auto stake on, it earns 0.2% on. If you were to turn auto stake off, you earn it off the base stake, but because it's compounding, I earn 0.2% off 4,200 instead. So tomorrow I'll earn 0.2% on that. So say if that goes up 10, I then earn 0.2% on 4,258. So it's compounding, and it's just getting more and more and more. So in the end, say if it goes to $1, in 5 years' time it's hit $1, and I've got 160 odd thousand tokens, and it's hit $1. I've got 160,000 pounds off $100. And this isn't the company that's paying me 160,000 pounds. This is when I go onto my Binance account, I take it all out, or whichever I can, I have to put it onto my MetaMask and change it for USDT. That's somebody else buying the token. So it's what people are paying for it, because it's going to be worth more and more and more. In 20 years, this could be worth $1,000 for all I know. Well, it could stay at $1. Yeah. Even if it stays the same, you're still earning, because you are earning on the tokens. So this is a small amount you could buy. You could put $100 in, get around, because it's around 8.2 cents or 8 cents at the moment, and it's going to keep going up slowly. It'll go up a bit and then drop, and then go up a bit and then drop, and then go up a bit.
Well, of course, that's the sort of...
So eventually the base will be 9 cents, the base will be 10 cents, and it's very clever in what they're doing, because you'll never see the same lows. You mean 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was sitting around just around 7 cents. But eventually, the way that I do it is because I bought more than one staking hub. So say you just think, right, well, I've got $1,000 there. You could happily open 10 100 accounts for yourself, and then open 5 up, and then leave 5 closed. And then when you've got your $1,000 back from taking it out because you've learned the system, you've got your $1,000 in your pocket. That means it's the players, the dealer's money that you're playing with. So it's not costing you anything.
Yeah.
This is why I say instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, open a few as well, which I've done. I use that $100 to open a load more accounts. Then I've got sat there. Now it's living. It's my money that I'm living. This is paying me to live.
It's amazing. It's like anything though, in terms of if people are watching or listening and they go, well, you want to just put in what you're prepared to lose.
To lose. But then once you've got back out, if you were to say, right, well, hang on a minute, I'll open it for now just to see it, just so I can get it visually in my own mind, but then I've got another $100 in 6 weeks' time and then another 100. You could leave one of them open. It'd come out very slowly because of the burning mechanism, because it's very clever what they're doing, which I won't get into, because that's what you can learn to train about. But with that, you can think, right, well, I've got my 14.79 there, and because I know how the system works, and as we saw on DeFi Llama, one of their protocols is farming. So I could basically farm the token to earn another 80% a year. Then the 80% a year off something that's growing, eventually when this is sat at $5, I've got tokens coming out that I've got growing in the background as well, which are earning another 8 or 10 tokens a week or whatever. And eventually that's going to be a very, very, very high wage because I'm learning why it's low.
Okay. So in terms, a lot of people will be maybe a little bit frightened of technology and a bit worried. Some people still struggle with the phones. You know what I mean? So if there's people out there that are, we've been talking, we'll create some guidance videos that will.
Well, the thing is with us, we're quite for me more than you as well. We're quite, because I'm on the same level as any of the listeners who are school, because it's all new to me. So I'll be sort of just on the journey with them.
Yeah.
Would you say though, is there certain ones? I know you said spread, like say you had £1,000 and you spread 10 over 10. Is it worth like putting 500 in a certain one? Because
keep one. Yeah, basically, if you were to open, because let me go on to here. So on there, you got the marketplace. So these are the ones that you can buy. If you've got 30 grand, buy one for 30 grand. Many people are doing. They did actually have the 100,000 ones. But with this, you've got the option of buying 100, 300, 500. So you can buy any different ones. Right. And this is all in dollars. So then you basically get the amount of that you want to buy.
You're going to get a $30,000 one.
Well,
so with this, say you to buy 500, you would get $500 worth of tokens. So say it's 10 cents, you get 5,000 tokens. 5,000 tokens then growing at 0.2% a day, and then halving every year. You end up getting 336x back. So you would have 3.3 times the amount of tokens that you have. So you would then have 15,000 tokens. So you're buying the amount at 8 cents at the moment. When you come around to selling them in 5 years, or if you were to open, say, a 500 and hundreds, you could then take bits out, or you could basically think, right, well, in 5 years, no problem. Because a lot of people have said to me, I'll just leave it. I'm just going to leave it. Buy 100 or buy a 300. I'll just leave it to grow. And then in 5 years, cool. Then you can just take it all out.
Interesting.
So, and then it just goes. And then, so with this, it grows. And then, into that. But then this also as well, this is being updated because this has just gone through branding. Yeah. This is resources. This is all the training. I'm going to go into this. Is all the old. And in the next 2 weeks, I can do a video of how all this is. But this is training, because a lot of things is what we're doing at the moment is we're all training about how the world's going to be and how everything's going. This is amazing training for how blockchain is going to be.
Okay.
They want to give people lessons because it's all very new and people are afraid of it. Blockchain and crypto and Web 3.0 is the future. There's going to be people implementing Web 3.0 into their businesses because it's so fast. If you were to use what's the one that's that you can pay through the post office where you can send money to different countries? Whatever it is, basically you get charged a lot of money for sending money. And you get a lot of. So say there's a company that sends 10,000 bits of data out every day to all over the world, and it's costing them quite a bit. The way that Ultron are doing it, they've done it so you can send your data out for very, very cheap and in split seconds. So say if you were to go to Ethereum and you were to send money through Ethereum, which is the biggest blockchain in the world at the moment, that would cost you, say, $5, and it would take 30 minutes. With Ultron, it's going to cost you cents, less than a cent, and it's going to take seconds.
Right.
So just imagine all these companies that send massive amounts of data all over the world sort of thing are going to come out of the centralised space into the decentralised space and be able to send stuff in seconds. Imagine instead of that, and it's costing you $5, it's doing that and it's costing you seconds. This is what Ultron's about. It's Web 3.0, it's new technology. And it's the technology that can lead to massive amounts of wedge in your pocket, because this is decentralized space, using the centralized space to your benefit by going to a cash machine and going, thank you very much. And that's all I do. I just don't use the centralized systems anymore, except for the nice cash point that still wants to give me the Queen's head that people. But if you've got everything in the decentralized space, then cash probably doesn't matter, because you keep in all your information.
It's about not being frightened of change then.
Yeah, this is massive change. And in the end, when mobile phones, when the internet started, a lot of people said internet.
Well, it will never take off.
They'll never take off. Why would you want to use the internet?
The first internet job I had, because obviously I was web designing many years ago, and I was my line manager that I had then. He sat me down in the office and he went, the internet's never going to take off, don't you? You just give me a job.
Yeah.
And it's not going to take off. And then he was like, how do you switch your computer on?
Yeah, so now, it's like I'm not massively computer literate, but I know about blockchain. I'm going to learn more about blockchain, because this is something in 10 years' time, just like the internet, just like a mobile phone. If in 1982 we're going to be sat there and going, right, well, I'm going to be able to video call somebody in Australia and just have a chat now, and there'll be no breakage, there'll be no nothing. What? Oh, never. The stuff that I'm learning about this now, you would have been saying about the internet, no, it's never going to work. Oh, no, best keep it into my own little bubble.
And then 10 years later, everyone will say, oh, I've missed out now.
Yeah,
I've missed on behind the train.
In 10 years, when I'm just thinking, right, well, hang on a minute, I've got just tokens coming out of my ears that are worth $20. I can take 500 tokens out and live on that for 3 months.
Yeah.
But you've chose to ignore me, because many people, I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of people about this.
Sure.
And a massive amount of people have gone, or they'll speak to me and just think, oh yeah, because of when certain emotions hit your mind, and you go, yeah, this is ace. But then they would have listened to somebody at work that says, oh, well, my auntie's dog's uncle's doctor's friend's auntie's brother lost £1 on Bitcoin 7 years ago. All the negative signs come out of it. That's going to fail.
The mainstream media is pushing an agenda against crypto, because the government want you to be involved in their own.
Yeah, because they make so much money out of you. Because once again, back to the Ponzi scheme that the bank is.
But then there's fear. But there's obviously, as an individual that will have been brought up a certain way, most people say, well, it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will be like, no, it's too good to be true. That's not going to... You can't put 100 quid in it.
But I moved on my house nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm financially free. I'm retired, if you can call it retirement. This is playtime. And this is going to take me around the world for the next 15, 20, 30 years. Yeah. And I don't want to be sat on my sun lounger in Barbados saying, this is life in 5 years' time, when this is basically taken off, because I've gone through the trouble of learning it all, and people are going, oh, no problem. And then they're complaining about the same thing that they're doing because they haven't tried to create something new out of themselves.
I've got to be honest, I was called, when I travel around the country and I, play poker in different casinos and that, and I get talking with, some of the lads. And some of them are half my age, and I wouldn't like to tell you how much actual cash is in their pocket.
Yeah.
But when I get talking to them, this is what they do. They're all into this kind of stuff, and they just said they've never worked. They come out of university, they drop out of university and everything, and they're just like, and you're just like, is it that easy or whatever? Why do I not know about this?
I've not got a formal education, but I'm free.
Do you know what I mean? And you just like, this one fella, I was talking to him when I was in Blackpool a few months ago, and he was just, and he had like a syndicate of people who must have sort of worked under him, and it was all to do with like all the crypto and
it's building communities, because people have realised the power of the community, and this is what it's all changing to, community. And if you can get communities early days, I mean, I'll show you this, because Right, so I joined on the 12th of the 7th, and these are all about the tours. This is international. So since I've joined, 185,286 people have joined.
Yeah.
And these are the people joining every day. This is all live.
Yeah.
This is all going out. So with this, they want over 100 million people. So you've got to think that right now, this is early days. And they're creating, because a lot of people are afraid to it, they want the everyday normal person. I mean, with this, they're creating credit cards. I'll get onto this now, actually. From here, so 185,000 people. So now we go into Ultron. So Mavic and Ultron are partnered up. Mavic are creating a massive thing themselves to get the people in, and Ultron are building the technology. And when they both come together and they've got the technology in the community, this is going to explode. And everybody's going to be their own bank, and they're going to be their own financial. And you can create your own life away from the things that we believe that we should be paying, that we should be doing. Because when you realise that your house can be an NFT and it doesn't need to go to the mortgage advisor and everything, and you can basically get stuff on this, and you don't have to have a credit score or anything, any of that bollocks. It stops you getting stuff because it was made up by somebody else, the way that they can control you.
It's a resistance.
When you can realise that I can make my house an NFT and turn it into 2 Bitcoin or whatever, say for instance, because a lot of people know Bitcoin, then you realise that you don't need to be part of a broken system that are taking everything off you. You don't need to pay what they think you should be paying all the time, because you're your own person. This is just all made up. They're made up reality of how you should live.
It's a revolution in itself.
Yeah. So with this, so you've got Ultron top there. So this is all about Ultron. So if you're going to look at it and you're going to show interest, you've got the ecosystem. You know what I was saying about the two apps? So you've got the Explorer and the Ultron Swap. I won't click on them now because it's going down a whole new rabbit hole. This is about Mavic and getting into the system. Once you're in on it, and then I've shown you basically, I can teach you everything. Since July, I've learned a lot. And this is just me getting started with it as well. So this is documents, light paper. They're actually redoing the white paper at the moment. So this is the light paper and the tokenomics. The tokenomics is about what they're doing with the tokens. There's 50 billion tokens. They never have that much in supply, because I think there's 4.3 billion or something in supply at the moment. There's always going to be changing. There's certain things for just about learning about that as well. The staking, this is about the staking hubs that I've just been going through. This is about what it's about, you know what I mean? So then with that, but if I go down, this is all, when it first came out, this is all the information you can look at. And then there's one thing I want to show, this about how it all works. Let's see if I can find it. But this, right, so SF, this is the person that did the audit. This is an audit that audits crypto companies. Ivana Tattoo Art, right, so she's, for celebrities, she did all the tattoos for the main celebrities. She's got her art into NFTs, so you can basically buy an NFT, digital art, with hers, and they're creating Ultron are going to create their own NFT site like OpenSea. If you're going to have a look at OpenSea is the biggest one. It's got the Bored Ape Yacht Club and stuff. These are NFTs that went out on the market for like $50, $60, and they're worth millions now. Because it's a Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's a club being part of a club, and you get special benefits, so people pay millions for it. It's like Devla, who do the NFTs for the what do you call it? What we were saying before with the goggles.
Oh, the metaverse.
Metaverse, yeah. With the metaverse, basically Snoop Dogg built a shop in the middle of this metaverse, and I think it was, whichever one it was called, can't remember, but Devla did it, and somebody owned 9 plots of land around that shop, and those 9 plots of land went for 10 million, or it was 10 plots of land for 9 million. One of the two, I don't know, but that's what it went for. And this is the sort of thing that the money's being generated in this, and it's stupid. This is going to be worth more than banks in the next 10 years. And but you know what I mean, it's all the past. So I'm not sure, but what I want to show you is, see if I can
I just interrupt as well, because it's on my mind as well, because people might be thinking this as well now. People getting into crypto, a lot of people would buy and sell, so they'd get a Binance account or a Coinbase or a Kraken account or something like that, and they would buy and sell. This is completely different. This is like it's almost like a Safeway, because you could spend $1,000 on Bitcoin, and then it gets a bear market and drops, and you've lost all your money. But this is different in that respect.
This is different because they're building Bitcoin is a blockchain, but it's just the coin, and there's no usage for it. Bitcoin is just basically, it's like the gold standard for money when it used to have gold. We used to have gold back in money in the Federal Reserve. So I don't know if how much of a lies or everything, but it's the gold standard. So you'll see a lot of altcoins moving with Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's right.
But because this is its own ecosystem and its own brain, really.
But you don't need to buy and sell, though. That's what I'm saying.
No, you just sit there and just leave it. You leave it growing, because you're going to make percentages without doing anything.
It's like shares then, really.
Yeah. So you can sit back and watch it grow. I'm sorry, this isn't going to go down again. This is only going to go up because of what they're doing. And this is the beginning stage. If you would have got into iPhone back in 1991, but then you thought, oh no, this is going to go down, you made a big mistake, because iPhone isn't the best phone.
No.
But it's the best advertisement
model.
And what these are doing, the way that they're creating better versions of everything, they're constantly moving forward. And onto this, FlipMe is going to be the credit card that they're bringing out themselves. So they're going to have the credit card, so you can buy straight from this. So you don't have to go to your Binance. You can basically put it straight onto this. This is going to be a prepaid credit card, like Crypto.com, like I've got here.
Okay.
And then, so say with this, so you're going to be able to say you've got a load of tokens that you want to take out after the first year, because you're just like, this is great, but I just want to spend some of it. Or you end up doing the thing of, you want to get the tokens out to then get your money back, because then you're using the company's money and you haven't got any money in yourself, like I did. I was very clever. FlipMe is a card that they're bringing out this year. It's going to be a prepaid credit card, like I think I've got my Crypto.com. I use this to get all around the UK for my first year of travelling, for people can see it. That basically, I took money from that and then put it onto there, went and took the cash out of the machine and went and spent it. So this is cash going through the decentralised system instead of the centralised banks, because they don't want you taking your money out of banks, because then it's not making them money. This is decentralised because money is just being formed, it's being grown because of the ecosystem, because of the economy. FlipMe is going to be a card that you can basically put money onto and just go and spend it. Because then you don't need, if you get money into this and it's growing for you, you don't need banks, because you can. I
don't know if you can answer this, JB, because it's just speculation. But I mean, the way the world's going, everything's digital prison in a respect. You know, with social crediting systems that we kind of see potentially coming through the China model and everything else, which would require a digital identification to potentially even just access the internet. Now, if you've got a card, now, obviously, there's always going to be ways around things. What I always say is, no matter what they're going to do, there's going to be clever people with a solution. Or we need to be the clever people, and we need to be in a community that will find that solution. So if there is a card that's off the bank, if there is, what I'm saying is there's always, if the money's going through a decentralized system, there's always going to be a way of getting your money. Yeah, because they are going to try and make it difficult, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. They could basically turn off cash machines tomorrow.
Yeah, of course they can.
And say, there's always going to be ways, but there's always ways around it, because they don't own everything. They can't. We have to comply for stuff to happen.
That's right. Yeah.
And if we don't comply, then it's not going to happen. These 15-minute cities, it's proven that the little bits that I see, it's all getting trashed.
Well, yeah, in Rochdale the other day, they'd already they
tried to do that the bit where you had to pay around Manchester, but one taxi driver kicked up a fuss, so I believe, and it all got basically squashed. And now the millions of pounds that they spent on the signs have now got under review. But that will never happen. Yeah, stuff like so. If people don't comply, this is where levels of consciousness are rising. And when you start seeing that stuff like this is decentralized space, because of the way it's being formed and the way it's being done. Oops, I want to kick that door. And the way it's being done, there's going to be ways around it. I personally think that the way that this is going, there's going to be decentralized cash machines. That's away from the banks and everything. That's away from this one world, whatever's going on. There's going to be, so there's always going to be that way of you can get your money. Because there's many people that believe that everybody has the right to have everything. And I personally believe that it's going to collapse the way that we know life. And this is going to be the new way of life that we're all going into. It's just that whether you see it now or in 10 years, it's going to change to our benefit.
It's about navigating.
So I can see, and the more people we see this early, and the quicker we get those numbers up, the quicker that this process can move on, because they've got a roadmap. And with this roadmap, it's going to keep getting better and better and better. Every person that joins is nearer to that roadmap. And when they've got 100 million, there's going to be their own basically ecosystems that are away from the main. So it's going to mean new banks and everything like that, because you don't need that. And if they've got control of the servers and control of everything, they're not going to turn the electrics off. And a lot of the stuff they're not going to turn off because they need it themselves. Yeah, but then there's people here who are very a lot more clever than, a lot more with it than the people who we think that are running the country, that are turning around and going, fuck off, we're going to do our own thing and we're going to grow. Totally so in the end, there's still going to be the people who won't see this, and they're going to be the people who go, right, well, hang on a minute, yeah, no problem, I will do this system and that system. But then in the end, they're going to be like, right, well, I don't own anything, and all this thing that I've been doing isn't worth anything. But then if you see the worth in this, when it's all numbers on a screen at the moment, but the thing is, they're going to make this worth because you're going to be able to get things out of it. And this is why I'm learning so much about it, about the different systems and everything, because they need to make a use case. They need to do it so you can get your shopping with your LX tokens. They need to make the use case, and that's what they're going to be doing. And when it does that and it's worth,
and then I can see your passion in this, JayBee.
Yeah, because with it, it's like, because the way it is, it's like you put £1 into the bank, they put it to work, and if it goes bad, that £1, then you have to pay for it by paying more tax. But if it goes good, they take all the profits. This is just basically building a community that gets all the profits back because there's so much more to give. Okay. And it's all going to go do and keep going. And the way that they're going to be bringing stuff out, and the way that you can actually launch your own businesses on blockchain. I mean, the launch pad that they're doing that's in it. So eventually I'll be able to create a website on blockchain. They're even talking about that you can basically put into the AI and all this stuff that's going on. You can actually say, right, well, I want a website that's going to look like this and do this, and it will just build in the background.
No, that's the way the world's going.
I don't know about all that sort of thing.
It's kind of the AI does worry me massively. You know,
I still see
people are removing their creativity.
Yeah, but I still see sort of thing, a way of it being that there's going to be a mix of old and new. And it's going to carry on for many, many years to come, because the more we still use cash, because I still go get cash out.
Yeah, for me though, ultimately, this is my personal opinion. You've got to navigate, so you've got to use what's there, because we've got to find our way through this game that we're in. But don't lose who you are, who you truly are. Don't get lost in this.
100%. No, 100%. You know me. I'm basically I'm mixing the good with the good. And I'm just creating the good with the good. And this is basically the numbers that are on the screen here that I can turn into readies. You know what I mean? I'll even do a full process of me going from, right, so this is a token, this is a ULX token. When they say enough to take $40 out or something like that, yeah, I'll say, right, $40 worth of tokens, going from that to that to that, and then I'll go to the hole in the wall when I change the GBP and go and get it out of cash. Or I can use this card to go and pay for it, but just with the hole in the wall of cash. So you can turn a decentralized token, the people in the background working hard with this, to cold hard cash and go and spend it.
And the cash is king still.
And it's doing that whole thing. Because that's what I did at Tim's. I was buying everybody the bleeding magic mushroom chocolates, and we're all getting off our edge with the cash that I earned from them. So it all came to good.
Like I said, that what you did for me last year, helped me and my family massively, and with the crypto card.
And it's just the
beginning. We were getting cash out and putting it back into the system. It helped us with that period. It helped us a lot.
Because you've got a couple of hubs, haven't you? So with the hubs, basically with that in 5 years' time, worth a couple of $100,000.
So did you have your hub when they were 1 cent and that as well?
Probably slightly. It was around that time.
Your first one at 1 cent.
Yeah.
Now, but it's still only 8 cents. So if you go back to this. This is what it's worth at the moment. It's down. It's around, so it's sticking around. So let's have a look at the last 7 days. It's probably down a little bit. So once again, knocking around down a little bit. Then if you go to today, probably down a little bit, because there'll be more selling than buying going on today. Then if you go to the month, once again, there's a massive drive. But once again, if you look at it in the month, the general growth in the past month has gone up. From that corner to the bottom corner.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the last 3 months.
You've got to look at a bigger scale, haven't you?
3 months. Look, it's going up.
Yeah.
And if you look at all growth. So it has its ups and downs, because that's what it does. That's part of the market. That's what traders do.
Yeah.
But trading, because every day people are joining, then you go back to that one. This along the top, people are still joining. That means people are buying tokens. It's getting tokens into the circulation.
Yeah.
So the tokens are going to keep going, and then when they start to get usage, I mean, every time because of what they do here with this Ultron bridge, people won't understand that, but you can basically bridge the token to any of these, the Ethereum, the Binance. So Ultron, the first people to ever do it, have bridged it so you can put it onto Ultron swap your ULX for USDT, so it's Ultron USDT, swap it to USDT on Binance, go and take it out and spend it. You can't do that anywhere else. But what they're going to do is when they've got when they open the lotto, you can earn $1 million a day. The ULX token is going to be available on all these for people to buy, and it's going to create a lotto where you can win $1 million a day, and it's going to be the biggest lotto in crypto ever to be done, and it's going to make multi-millionaires just from that. So I'm going to be keeping the same numbers of doing it because it might cost me 4 ULX tokens.
Yeah.
But they're going to do it all at the right time. They won't just throw things out there. They're going to do it when they've got the thing. But to be part of this community could basically cost you as little as $100 to buy a token that's going to rise because you bought the staking hub. And then watch it grow. Watch me teach you more, because I'll be the one that's sitting down doing all the learning. You don't have to know anything. I'll do all the sharing, all the teaching. Same with anybody that actually sees this from after watching this or listening to this. You do that. If you show a little bit of interest, I'll work with you, no problem, because I'm already doing it for so many people. But there's so many people that basically get in their own heads and then they ignore you, sort of thing. But don't be one of them. I think
if we bring you in as part of our community on that level, you know, if people were interested to
this is helping financial freedom
and have a go at this, then we can work through that, can't we? We can put stuff together on the website and on our community on the Facebook and go down that route.
I always did plan on having 500 million by the time I'm 50. So
well, there you go. Maybe that's the route.
Maybe that's the route.
So that's it. No, it's
so brilliant, JayBee.
Yeah, cool.
No, that's fantastic. We'll
appreciate your time, and we'll have you back then.
Yeah, cool. 100%. Because I could talk about this more and go into it a little bit more. The people who show interest, I could speak to them, but I can go into how to use the Ultron swap and how to bridge your money. And
what we'll do is we need to do an actual a day or whatever, a platform that's just focused on this.
Definitely.
Obviously, because we've heard your story, and you know people can get to know you and the story and whatever, and then basically
we'll go from there
and now into. So then people will know who's around the Drake Michigan platform, who they're working with, that kind of stuff, and then and then basically, and then we'll all, do you know what, we'll all throw a couple of quid in the pot and
just watch it grow, because it's money that isn't depreciating. It's appreciating in value. Because you're not thinking, right, well, because in a year's time, if you say put $500 into this, if you leave $500 in the bank next year, it's going to be worth $470.
Well, the way the banks are going, it could just take it
could just disappear. But in this, the $500 is going to be worth more of the token at a higher price. So say if it's worth in a year's time, it's worth 14 cents. But you've got 107% more tokens because you gain 107% in the first year. So in 12 months, you can go from 8 cents to 14 cents, say, and you can go from 5,000 tokens to 10,700 tokens. So it's appreciated just by sitting there and doing nothing.
It's about having eggs in baskets, eh?
Of course it is. I think so. And I'm part of a few different things, but they cost more to be able to get into, but they're absolutely brilliant. This isn't just the only one.
Of course,
you've got one called WeWe that's matched with LioPay. Brilliant, but it's $500 to get in. This is five times less.
Yeah, of course.
This you can get in for such little, but the others are amazing. Ultima, PC Ultima, I'm going to end up turning $100 into over 70 grand with that because of the way that it is and the way it's growing. But it's, once again, it's all long term. There's none of this quick money now.
No.
The quick money's been made to help it grow. That incentive for people. Now it's look at this for the next 5 years. And if you're very clever about it and you want to learn, I'll show you how to get every single penny out that you put in, because then it's not costing you anything. Yeah. I've literally, the original £270 that I put in, I've not put another penny in this, and I've had probably over 35 grand out of it.
Yeah,
maybe a bit more, just from spending, just living a very basic life. This will end up paying for the yachts and the other. Yeah. But at the moment, it's very early days in the whole thing. It's like iPhone. You wouldn't have been able to buy a yacht with the iPhone in the iPhone 1, but the iPhone 14 that's coming out, if you'd been part of that from here till then, you've got that. So when this is the iPhone 14 version of Ultron, then that's when the money's coming in. It's about being willing to trust the process now.
Live in the present, but keep an eye on what's
and this will come into more things that are going to be. So you just think, because at the moment it'd be like, well, what is it then? But this is what they're growing. It's the ecosystem that's going to be the power. and community in the ecosystem using it brings the power, and I'm going to be a massive part of this. I'm going to watch the games, and I want to help anybody possible to get as much as they can.
Well, you brought a really inspiring story today, JayBee.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming.
So
I broke down all that.
JayBee,
thank you.
Yeah, it's good to meet you, and a great story, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers are going to love it.
Yes, indeed, and please
Subscribe
to Michigan's channel. Please subscribe.
Yeah, and get my information. My information's there, and contact you. Have any questions as well, and we can go forward and grow and just get this into something. Thank you.
Yeah, nice one, buddy.
One love.
Thank you.
Cool.
One love.
See you later.
See you guys.
Be star.